All right, we're here.
We're not queer?
No, you
maybe?
are maybe.
$20 is $20.
A wet set of lips is a wet set of lips.
That's the best trivia team that I ever heard. Was the names like I'm not gay, but $5 is $5. Like, that's an instant win.
It's true.
All right, so we have a guest here today. Sir, please introduce yourself.
My name is Jason Parsons.
Jason, where are you from?
Let's see. Born and raised in Southern California. I moved to Las Vegas many moons ago. Date myself. That was in '93 after I got out of high school. To go to school at UNLV. Went to school there for a while. I started off with a double major in particle physics and electrical engineering. Super dork. My grandfather actually was a rocket scientist.
Really?
And thought I wanted to do that, but
1.21 gigawatts.
Get a little closer there.
That isn't really gigawatts. That is
gigawatts.
the biggest misnomer in movies next to... there's another big misnomer, but it's not gigawatts.
What is it then?
Giga.
It's gigawatts.
Yeah, giga.
Yeah, they didn't even know back then. It was just like no one knew how to say it. It's like GIF.
I'm sure they did. It's
GIF
just
or GIF.
nobody in Hollywood knew how to say
No,
it.
they didn't know it. Anyway, so you went.
So I started off being a giant nerd, and then I got really bored with calculus classes and figured, God, I'm going to change my major. This is terrible. And proceeded to go get my bachelor's in exercise science and my master's in kinesiology because I like going to the gym.
Right.
I liked working out. My counselor said, what do you want to do? I'm like, I don't know. I like going to the gym. Cool. Here, let's go do this.
So do the two actually like intertwine by any means?
Remarkably so. I think on a daily basis, having worked with athletes for the past 25 years, I've used more physics than anything else. And as surprising as that sounds, especially when it comes to things like jiu-jitsu and combat sports in general, physics is a very important piece of the puzzle. That was a lot of P's in one place, by the way.
Alliteration is good.
Yes. It's tickling my beard on here. It's kind of fun.
Oh, is it? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Well,
No.
jiu-jitsu is an art of angles. It's even though it's a physical and like the human body is moldable, but there's only a certain number of angles that something can move before something breaks.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Some engineering to it.
of course, and then you got there's fulcrum. We got fulcrum.
I feel like
points.
you're trying so hard to pull like these like fucking things out of your ass.
No,
right
because
now,
I
too.
talk about this in class all the time about fulcrum points. Why an arm bar works. Why if you can get the other arm
It's body mechanics.
trapped behind the other arm.
Exactly. I mean, I think that's the big part. Like you said, biomechanics, understanding some physics, leverage points, things like you said, the lever points. But when you look at the body and the way it's set up, looking at the difference between a shoulder joint versus an elbow joint versus a wrist joint and how they're meant to move versus how they're not meant to move.
Right.
If we look at how we apply that in jiu-jitsu, judo, and other such things.
So you actually train though.
Certainly. Yes. And it's interesting enough, I started training jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, variety of other martial arts, because I wanted to be able to train the athletes. I've trained athletes, football, basketball, baseball, the big three, soccer, rugby, lacrosse, track, bodybuilding, if you want to call that a sport. If you wear a bikini, that's
I
just
do.
the guys.
I was in it deep enough, so I do.
Absolutely. I've been there.
Not in a bodybuilder, but
Right.
in bodybuilding.
Hey.
Well, I mean, let's not get out of hand here.
So the best way for me to apply the understanding I had of the body was to make sure I was able to practically engage with it myself. So I've been on the mats because I wanted to be able to make sure that I wasn't just taking theory and information from a book, but was able to actually interact with it and make sure it was something that was practically applicable with people.
Right. And I mean, it also buys you credibility because you're not just coming in from a third party perspective.
Certainly.
So where did you train?
I started off Vanderlei Silva's gym in Las Vegas, and then I spent the last few years before I left Las Vegas at Robert Drysdale's gym. I was a strength conditioning coach over there for that team. I worked with 150, 200 guys, mostly amateurs out of Vegas. Vegas being an epicenter for MMA, and of course a lot of jiu-jitsu schools out there. So a lot of people I worked with through a lot of years out there. Coming out here, I know a lot of people, but I kind of semi-retired, not really working with the athletes unless it's a friend, somebody that I enjoy spending time with. I'm happy to help them with that. 25 years in the game. It's
That's
time,
a lot of knowledge.
time for me to relax a little bit. That's the way I look at it.
25. You know what though? You're younger than me. If you graduated in '93,
I mean, that's not too difficult.
25 years. That's really not that long.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it. I blink of an eye. I went from coming from high school, going to school, and now poof, I'm here. my thirst for understanding and knowledge. I read every day. I'm diving through books, going through videos. I just, got through the sixth video series from Danaher the other day.
Yeah.
Pops out the
I'm still working
arm
on
bar,
those.
popped out. I'm like,
So-
yes, got it down.
So good. Did you start watching the Gordon Ryan videos
Yes, got
Yeah.
his for guard passing. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I've been
Absolutely.
like watching those like fucking nonstop. I just watch and then go back. All right, let me see it all over again. So
Certainly.
I get it engraved. So it's funny though. I've been to Vanderlei's gym
Yeah.
in Vegas, and it's like, yeah. Well, that's where
That's
I got
where
the sock.
my dick sock came
Yeah.
from.
So
Huh?
yeah. So when I went to the gym, to Vanderlei's gym, I was actually working for Flex Lewis.
Okay.
Right, and that our buddy, like my friend Ryan Loco, was doing a photo shoot, and he's like, "Oh, come with me." So we were actually doing a photo shoot, or I was helping him do a photo shoot with Dallas McCarver at the time,
Yeah.
and it was in Vanderlei's gym.
Yeah.
So we walked in, and it's funny because like I guess right next door they used to shoot like porns and stuff. Down the
yeah.
street, like a little bit, is Floyd's gym.
Yeah. Well, it's right there on the strip. I mean, you
Yeah.
can see the freeway. You walk out the door, and poof, there's a strip right outside of Vanderlei's.
So what he's talking about is when we went, I forget the coach's name off the top of my head. He's there, and they had a table with all this like different gear on sale. So I had a cell phone case, there was all kinds of stuff, and I saw these 3 little like tube socks looking things, but they were about
There
this
were
big.
enough to put like a phone in, like the
Barely,
old iPhone.
Barely. It
Maybe.
was like they're literally like it was like
Okay,
this big,
okay.
and it was in a shape of a sock with no heel to it, so it looked like a tube. So we're like, hold on, what is this?
It's not
like-
labeled. What are we doing here?
Right? No, nobody knew what it was. He's like, well, everybody's trying to figure out what it was. So it turns out like Vanderlei's wife or whatever, she like when they had the gym, they just wanted to buy a bunch of like promo items,
Yeah.
so they just bought whatever that was super cheap, and that was one of them. But people were like, it's a cell phone. I was like, bro, this is a dick sock.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
for sure, this, and it had his
It's a
logo.
multitasker. Come on.
It's got his logo at the tip. I was like, this has got to be like something you wear like when you're weighing in and you don't ever want everybody to see your
100%. You don't
dunk.
need the towel anymore. Throw on your Vanderlei sock.
Yeah, well,
Boom.
you know.
So like I'm like, oh, there's only 3, so I bought one for Shawn, and one for our boy Tom, and one for myself.
That's
just to say I have.
amazing.
So
I don't know where my dick
your
sock
dick sock
went.
is? I don't
Come
know.
on, man. You got to hold on
Did
to that
you try to
stuff.
put it on? Be honest. Did you try to put it on? That's a no. That's a no, but he
That's a
doesn't want to.
non-answer right there.
That's a yes.
Yeah, I definitely
absolutely.
tried.
I have it on right now.
Thank you.
Especially when it's cold out, it works.
It for sure works. But you just reminded me. I was like, oh, fuck.
Girls in Florida break out Uggs when it gets below 70.
Yes.
I break out the dick socks.
I don't know, why not? It's a
got it.
festival out there. But yeah, that gym is actually that's a really nice gym.
Yeah, I actually started working there. Vanderlei brought me in. He was a friend. I knew a friend of a friend, and they wanted me to come help them run their business. I've run gyms my whole life, so I started off working personal training. Then I was training trainers. Then I was creating education platforms and go around to gyms and help their businesses work better. So through the grapevine, Vanderlei found out about me and had me come over and help them to start to build their business. Because when he first started, he had a bunch of money and idea, but he had his whole family running the place, and they weren't necessarily the best.
Never works.
Not the best idea,
Never works.
right? So
Not that I'm against nepotism all the time, but
So, I went in there and helped out with that situation and ended up sort of, training in there as well. And it's just a wonderful gym, it really is. They put it, it's
Yeah.
a beautiful place, great location. It's wonderful for people that are traveling. Tons of people that come
Yeah.
in town. It's the closest gym to any place on the strip. So you can pop right over there and go in there, and it's a great place. And Vanderlei, being a longtime fan of his in MMA, the first time I met him, I was actually at a different store, at a different gym in their pro shop, and he walked up next to me, and I was talking to my friend, and I turned around, and Vanderlei's right there. And if you haven't met him and you don't know him, and all you've seen is him fighting and killing people and eating them,
the greatest
turned around-
nickname in MMA. I don't care what anybody says.
absolutely, absolutely.
Greatest nickname ever.
Turn around and see him, and I almost shit my pants because he's standing around like, so starstruck and scared to death at the same
Yeah.
time. Bad combo, right? I'm like, hope I didn't have Taco Bell for lunch. This
Can
could
you
be
imagine
bad.
if you were talking about a fight that he was in, like just when he pulled
yeah.
out?
Remember when Vitor whooped his ass? Oh,
I don't know, man. I think it's time for him to retire.
exactly.
How are you?
But then you meet him and interact with him, and he's the nicest guy in the
Oh,
world.
yeah.
Every time he comes into the gym, he runs around and hugs and handshakes every single person in the facility before he starts doing anything. Such an amazing guy. I really was thankful and appreciative that I got to have the opportunity to work with him there and to train in the place. So
Yeah, I've never heard anyone really say anything bad about the guy. I think the most bad press he ever really got was the fight that he had with Chael Sonnen. as during the filming, not like the
Yeah.
fight itself.
Oh yeah.
Because when he went for the takedown, he was acting like all tough. Like people were just shitting on him.
Well, I think that was more
No,
for the cameras.
I think what he did was more for the cameras, but he got some legitimate backlash from people.
Oh,
getting
yeah.
that. And then it somehow managed to flip Chael being the hero of the whole thing. It was
Yeah, go figure.
Yeah, you couldn't have scripted better. He's like, I'm just gonna take this and run.
Well, you know what turned him heel was his boy jumping in and throwing shots.
Yeah.
That's the part that made everybody go, oh, that's horseshit.
Yeah.
Well,
It worked out, man. It definitely worked out. I just felt really bad with that last fight that he had.
That's an unfortunate thing. You see a lot of your heroes, if you will, in the mixed martial arts game, get to the peak, do so well, and then they just hold on for a little too long. BJ Penn.
Yeah, well, we talked about that one. Like
Stop.
I don't get it. I don't know. So we talked about there are fighters. Last show we talked about there are fighters and then there are athletes who fight.
Yes.
That's
absolutely.
BJ Penn is a fighter.
Absolutely.
That's who he is.
Yeah.
That's so I can understand the desire to want to still do
Certainly.
that.
It's in his DNA, right?
Yeah, it's in the DNA, and he probably
But
feels.
I mean, and it's also you started so young, and that was the kind of personality he had. He was a scrapper.
Yeah.
He got into fights all the time. Then it became a career, and he became world famous for it, and he broke all kinds of records. Like, it's kind of hard to step away. It's like you're watching like an old rock star. Like you see the Rolling Stones like going at it. It's like, bro, you're gonna.
But
blow
what's
out.
funny is that's the most impressive part to me about BJ Penn isn't him becoming a world champion in MMA. It was the
jiu-jitsu.
winning the world championship
Oh,
in
yeah.
jiu-jitsu
So
after
young.
4 years of training.
Yes. That was,
And he was being the first American to do it.
First American to do
Exactly.
it. There's only been 3 others since.
Yep. Yep.
3 others. Since BJ Penn did it in what, 96, 97?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that?
Yeah.
3 other people since then.
Yeah. No, look, he's legitimate. I definitely think that he should have hung it up like a while ago. But we'll see what happens, man. This next fight. Even look at the Ryan Hall fight. I said it too. It's like there's not a chance. There's not a chance that he was going to sit there and survive that fight.
Yeah.
No matter which way, whether he wanted to take it to the ground or wanted to stand
And he
up.
did what's funny is it shows you how the game of jiu-jitsu evolves.
Oh, yeah, move past him.
And
right?
moved past him
Absolutely.
because he did the exact wrong thing.
Oh, 100%.
when he
Wrong
got
direction.
Yep, wrong direction.
Yeah, it's so bad. I mean, and it's happened to a ton of guys that, I mean, even the evolution for women's MMA. Look at how many times Miesha Tate got her ass kicked.
Yep.
But she kept grinding and grinding. She's like, I need to work on my wrestling and work on my wrestling. I got to work on my striking, worked on my striking, and my jiu-jitsu. And she ended up coming back, whooped up Ronda. And then it goes back to, she beat up Holly Holm.
Holly Holm.
And then Amanda Nunes, the whole time she was already starting up from the get-go. She was working on everything at the same time, and now she's way ahead of everybody else.
What the knock on Amanda was her gas. Like if you could survive that first round with Amanda.
Yeah, and she had to deal with like the bullshit because about like getting the sinus infections and stuff.
Well, no,
like
I'm
that.
not even talking about that. I'm just talking about the way what you could survive her first round. You could survive the fight, and you could probably win the fight.
Yeah.
But now
With Phil.
she's bumped up, man. Last fight she
That was one of the most impressive things I've seen.
not the
to see Cyborg get
Oh, my
knocked
goodness.
the fuck out. Like,
That was
come on.
crazy.
But she cyborg. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
But I
Overwhelmed
remember,
her,
like, we
yeah.
were talking about it, it's like, man, people don't know because I've seen her train. I've been at the gym.
Yeah.
Like, people don't know what she's got and how she handles people. So to sit there and see it in front of everyone, like I told you, that's the bonus about what I do is that I get to kind of go into all these gyms and really see people, like, work. It's like, shit, the stuff that you see, like, in front of the TV is completely different than what
true.
goes on backstage.
Well, anybody that trains and also competes, even if it's amateur relative to the professional, the work is done in the gym.
Yeah.
The work is done with your training partners, grinding day in, day out, eating how you need to eat, chicken fingers.
You're talking to the chicken finger champ.
Exactly.
Right here.
The hard work is done far before you get onto the stage for competition. That's just the reality of it. So when you see these people, the casual observer, the person that's sitting in the the armchair calling out, booing when they're on the ground, it's like, stop it first of all
Monday
before we throw
morning
you in the octagon.
Yeah.
But the reality is, you like you said, you get to see it when it's happening in training, and you can tell. You can tell really quickly.
But it goes even deeper to the fact that I train, and then I get to train with some of like the pros, and then seeing the real, and not top secret, but the real behind the scenes pros, like training.
Yeah.
That shit's a whole different level. So I remember when I was doing the photo shoot with Gilbert. I don't think you were there yet. I was doing a photo shoot with Gilbert here for Tatami.
Yeah.
And Gilbert was just dead, exhausted. He had already done 2 training sessions that day, like one training and then a weightlifting session. Like training with the kids, having his kids, going to church, stuff like that. So he was just exhausted. And my dad starts fucking with him. My dad's worked his whole life. He's been doing manual labor his whole life. But he's never seen that. He used to play rugby, but he's never seen what athletes nowadays go through. So he's like, "Oh, you're tired, huh? Tough day working out." I'm like, "Oh, shit." And props to Gilbert for being super patient and just like kind of rolling with it.
Yeah.
I'm like, you have no idea what you're talking about.
And most people don't. That's actually why I gravitated over to working with combat athletes, specifically mixed martial artists and jiu-jitsu practitioners from other sports, because for me, it was a great challenge. There is no more complex training than what happens with mixed martial artists. There is not. They are the most dynamic athletes there are, period, of any athletic endeavor you can partake in, because it takes place in every different aspect of human performance, from aerobic to anaerobic challenges to strength, power, strength, endurance. Every aspect of human capability is taxed to its limits with mixed martial arts. And so as a strength conditioning coach and a trainer of athletes at high levels, it becomes this Rubik's Cube, this puzzle, this really challenging thing that, for me, as I said, I've been doing this a long time, 25 years plus. Sometimes it gets boring with the same old clients, with the same old athletes, getting an offensive lineman in the football arena. There's only so much that needs to be done there. You just repeat it, set and repeat, versus you get a mixed martial artist, and then especially look at what their specialty areas are in their fight game. There's so much more that I have to wrap my head around to help bring them to the next level.
You have to really pull an incredible balance between strength, conditioning, balance, flexibility, and then finding the weakness, exploiting the strengths, all sorts of stuff.
Absolutely. It's really a wonderful thing.
I think the biggest problem in MMA is the fact that most head coaches of the fighters don't work closely enough with the strength and conditioning.
That's absolutely.
coach.
I completely agree with you. When you look at the most successful fighters and their fight camps, their teams, they work as a cohesive unit.
Right.
The nutritionist that specializes in sports nutrition works with the strength conditioning coach that specializes in that works with the individual art coaches, and then the head coach sort of works with all of them together, and they coordinate. Hey, you're doing extra strength conditioning today that's going to work on this part of the body. We're going to make sure we have a lower intensity sparring session today because we want to juxtapose those together. You have to work as a team to be able to take these elite athletes to where they need to be at the world professional level. And unfortunately, I agree with you. There's so few of those going on out there that it's almost a crapshoot for a lot of these people to accidentally stumble into.
Because these fighters are killing themselves. I watch the way they train.
Yeah.
And they kill themselves on the mats. Which, first of all, I think they train too hard on the mats.
100%.
Way too hard on the mats, because my theory is, if you want to get good or if you want to win, most of your work is done off the mat. Not so much the weight room, but with your strength and conditioning.
Yeah.
Everything that happens on the mat should be drilling and light enough sparring where you don't endanger.
Don't damage the vehicle.
Certainly.
Right,
Certainly.
exactly.
Well, I told you one of the best pieces of advice I ever got was from Gilbert, and he said to me, it's the strength and conditioning aspect of it is you're not training for the fight. You're training to prepare to train for the fight. So I'm doing the weightlifting and the conditioning so I can train, and that's what's getting me ready for the fight. And which is better than saying, "Oh, I'm training to fight." No,
Yeah.
it's you're really doing the strength and conditioning to be able to get as much as you can out of a
Certainly,
training session.
strength conditioning is about preparing your body to perform at the optimal level in a sustained manner, right? Anybody can go out for 10 seconds and put out a maximum effort. Fights aren't 10 seconds, depending on which
Unless
you're
you're
fighting.
Rumble. Yeah.
Unless you're Rumble, exactly.
Or you're fighting BJ Penn.
Yeah, for sure.
So to prepare to take your skills that you've developed with your skill coaches and your years and years of training as a martial artist, you want to be able to take those skills and apply them against somebody that's resisting at the highest level as long as necessary to achieve the end goal of winning.
Well, did you watch Kamaru's thing on Joe Rogan?
Yes.
And he talked about that when he goes to train, because he can't run, he can't do all the traditional cardio stuff.
Uh-huh.
When he trains, he goes all out right away from the get-go. So then he's spent, and then the rest of the training session just becomes that cardio.
It's interesting you say that, and I haven't watched that episode, but that's one of the premises I've often had with my strength conditioning around Jiu-Jitsu specifically is I like to fatigue my athletes up front and then have them focus on their technique after that so that they're not trying to muscle through things.
Yeah.
Being large guys on the mat, sometimes we use our body weight, use our muscles.
Yeah.
I know I have for many years, and I have to tell myself, stop doing that. If you're not catching the thing in the right position and you're not timing it right, you don't have the technique,
Yeah.
don't just try and muscle it.
Don't force it.
Because that's not what this is about. It's the gentle art, right?
Well, I mean, I spent, the first 2.5 years just training with Shawn.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we were the biggest guys on the mat, so I'd always train with Shawn. It's like, okay, I know that he's going to kick my ass. I can't muscle it. I know that I can't, so I'd always look for the tiny little, spots where I could at least get a grip here or a grip there. Whether I have it for a second or 5, it doesn't matter. But I know, okay, now I started getting my timing and I started understanding more and more. But big guys against big guys, it's so tough to fight that battle of don't muscle it, don't muscle it.
It's true. And you can ask any large, muscular, strong athlete, they're going to say, I do use my strength and power to my advantage. You kind of have to. It is an athletic endeavor.
And
so
you
you're
can't
going
help
to.
it sometimes. It's just
Certainly.
it's like Andre the Giant said in Princess Bride, I can't help it if I'm the biggest and strongest.
Exactly.
That's just I don't just being my size.
Yes.
It being inside control.
100%.
Well, my 10% is different than your 10%.
Yep.
Right.
It's just the ability to sit there and change it. Let me ask you a question, a little bit offshoot, because I had this debate about a month or so ago. And since we're talking about high-level athletes, I have a couple of friends that are Olympic athletes. One of them is a silver medalist. She's gone to the Olympics a bunch of times.
Sport?
Volleyball.
Okay.
But I got into a debate about the likelihood of starting a sport and who could achieve a gold medal faster. I said it is easier to what's the skiing thing where you ski, stop, you shoot the target, then keep
biathlon or
the
whatever?
biathlon, right?
Yeah.
It's easier to train to become a gold medalist in a biathlon than it would be to train to become a gold medalist in ping pong.
Interesting. Those are very interesting sports that you
Completely
chose to
separate.
speak to because
Right.
both of them are very skill dependent.
Right.
Skills are things that you acquire via nervous system conditioning over years. It's doing your jiu-jitsu and catching a
Right.
certain move, your eyes closed and not muscling. You can feel, it's just repetition is the mother of skill, right? Ping pong, not a lot of athletic
But it's
necessity.
speed,
There's a lot of quickness and
reflex,
reactivity, right?
And that's not something I feel that you could easily train quickly. Like to build that kind of reflexive speed and intuition, to me is a lot harder than to build the cardio that it
Or
would
endurance.
take.
That's what they do.
Endurance.
That's what that is. That's about
Yeah.
endurance
And
and
the
being
biathlon.
able to
Yeah.
what that sport has is endurance and then having to
Biathlon or
biathlon.
Yeah.
And then having to bring
Bring it
your
down,
heart rate down
yeah.
enough that you can
Right.
Exactly.
But
you can relax to
I
shoot.
still
Very
think
true.
that's easier to build endurance and cardio and have some kind of a control than it is to build a reflexive speed and to have the
I would
cardio
agree.
to withstand
I would
that.
I would agree.
Yeah,
with that.
I think so. I think so.
I can't wait
Yeah.
to tell her this. She's gonna be
Yeah.
so pissed.
It's an interesting, just those two that you chose, those sports, very
Yeah.
interesting because of the dynamics within
Right.
each one of them.
It just became.
Well, 'cause-
it just came
Well,
into.
most people don't look at ping pong as a sport. But if you've ever played ping pong
Oh, man.
against somebody that knows what they're
Yeah.
doing,
They're running you all over the place.
you feel like an idiot.
Yeah.
You're lucky if you hit the ball.
One
it's
time.
Because it's by accident.
Yep.
It's like, oh, I just happened to have the
Yeah.
paddle in the right spot.
Yeah.
And there's a new guy. I mean, I used to play a lot. I never competed or anything like that, but I used to love ping pong. But there's a new guy. He had some weird motion that it looks like he's hitting the ball to make it spin a certain way, but he's actually faking it.
And pulling it back the other way.
So literally the split second before the ball touches, he can make it look like
Wow.
it's just a reaction time. So when you go to do the counter,
You go the wrong direction,
It
yeah.
doesn't matter. So there's nothing you can do because you see that
Yeah.
motion, you automatically think, "Oh, I got to do this."
And when
It's
you have
insane.
things that are happening that fast, like baseball, right? Reacting
Right.
to a pitch, a fastball, you have to predict what's going to happen with that pitch, or in this case, with that ball coming at you, and
Right.
act before it even happens because it's so quick. You couldn't wait to see it. You have to basically guess where it's going to go.
Right.
So he's faking with that hand gesture. You're reacting before it comes at you, and they're like, "Oh no, it's over there, buddy." Sorry.
And see, that's another debate I used to have a long time ago. Is that it would be easier for an athlete to take a few years and come back and play football than it would be for someone to be a walk-on in baseball because of the reaction speed that you need to hit a ball.
What kind of? Well, you mean an athlete that
An athlete
used to
in
play,
ge- like
that
right.
used to play
If
football.
you used to, let's say you used to play either football or baseball in college. You played 2 years, you were great, but you just decided I'm out. 5, 6, 7 years down the road, you say I want to go back and play. I can still handle it. I think you're better off trying to get into football. And
I don't
being
think
in
so.
Certain aspects of it
Well,
because you
Depends
get,
on your
you-
position.
Right, depends on the position.
Because
True, but
every 5 years, these players get bigger, faster, stronger.
everything changes. Remember, it used to be having to be 400 pounds and
That's
being
true.
able to run.
O-line.
And there was a guy that was 400 pounds. He ran a 4.43 or something like
Good
that.
Lord.
So it happens.
Well, do you remember Eric Swan?
yeah.
Who just played 2 years of junior college and then
Yep.
got drafted into the pros just on his combine numbers.
Yeah.
Basically he was just a specimen.
Have you ever been to XPE?
Huh.
Check out XPE in Boca.
Yeah.
A majority of, not a majority, I would say, a large number of the top 10 draft picks every year come out of XPE.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Tony and Craig and David and all the guys that train there, their system is so crazy. It's very simple. They never train them in some crazy thing, but I watched them train so many guys. Number
Well,
one,
when you have
number
a
two,
system
three.
down, you
Yeah.
just set and repeat, and if it works, it works.
Yeah. And you train out here at Combat Club, right?
I intermittently go in there. I was
Yeah.
over at ATT before they moved with Pahumpa over there for a while. At the house, we got the whole front room matted out with our
Yeah.
TV up so we can watch, Donna up on the screen. Hey, and have my wife choke me out repeatedly, unfortunately.
Funny.
So here's a question: when you first started training, let's say jiu-jitsu athletes.
Yeah.
So that's when you started training. What was the biggest revelation that you got from training that made you go, well, that won't work, or, oh, I better do this instead of that?
I would say mostly the surprise, if you will, would be with gi. The different guards people would play and the grip differences. Playing your spider guard, if you got some kind of weird worm guard you're doing. Thanks, Keenan. The necessity of grip training specific to that technique that you prefer was much greater than what I had originally assumed in my casual observation. I spent a lot of time observing a variety of techniques and a variety of people training. I went to many different schools and sat through 100 hours of just watching and taking notes and asking questions and watching video to try and deduce what I believe were some of the most key aspects of working with these athletes. But until I got in there and actually partake in the specifically again the gi training, and the grip strength necessary, and the grip strength endurance, and the buildup of additional tissues on your hands and your knuckles and your these types of things, until that became more clear from practical application doing it, I didn't know like I needed to know, which was the very reason why I did it. And I had to be there. That way I was able to grasp it a little bit better, modify my training, and get better results because of that. You know,
Let me ask you a question, just because you brought it up, and it's one of those things that I've always looked at different ways that different athletes work on grips. What do you feel is probably the most effective way to increase your, not only your grip strength, but your grip endurance?
so this is probably one of the most consistently maligned but necessary parts of exercise science. There's a principle in exercise science we call the SAID principle. SAID is an acronym, stands for specific adaptation to the imposed demand. So the specific adaptation, getting better at something, what your end goal is based on the imposed demand. The thing you do is what you get better at. If you want to be better at swimming, don't go play basketball. You want to be better?
Swimming.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to line up as closely, identically to the end game that you want to have, the thing that you're doing to get better at it. So the best thing you could do to be better at your spider guard grip strength is do a lot of spider guard. The next best thing still needs to be as close to that as possible. And that means utilizing the hand positions that you would have in gripping for your lassos, the material on the fingers. So if you're going to do something like a pull-up, do it with gis over the top of the bar, right?
Yeah.
So that you're gripping the same way, because a fully closed hand on a gi is very different than a closed hand around a bar.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Very dynamically different. You don't want to get good at this if this is what you're doing here. Right? So using that SAID principle as the base premise for developing techniques for training grip strength, it starts with, what do you want to be better at? What's your game that you play? Right? Are you no-gi? Are you gi? What are your techniques that you prefer? Right? And so as I analyze an athlete, look at what they want to be better at, we start with that, obviously. More time on the mat makes you better at being on the mat. We step back from that, and we start to go layers back from there. Strength endurance was your question. Well, strength endurance means being able to be strong at something, hold on to that grip for as long as possible as necessary. Again, building that up through not only training, but getting into things like static holds with kettlebells or dumbbells, plates, pinching plates, holding, hanging from gis, swapping out variety of exercises with cables and other such things using gi grips that you can have. So those kinds of things, they have to line up in succession from the exact thing you want to be better at, and slowly work to less and less similar.
So what's funny is I've created a workout program at my gym called the Viking Warrior Workout.
Yeah.
It was basically taking, the stuff that you see most people do, that high intensity functional training stuff, and modifying it to what, like, something that a Viking would have done, 1,000 years ago. But
We line up
today.
skulls and just
Fair enough.
push
I
them.
like
But,
that. I like that.
What I did notice is everything that I did worked the grip. So like I did the hitting the tire with the hammers, grip. Then I went going to the ropes, grip. Then farmer's walk,
Absolutely.
grip. Then I was doing pull-ups or hangs,
Yes.
grip. So basically what I did is I started training my grip unconsciously, and
Absolutely.
then once I figured it out, I was like, oh, I'm just. And then I have a rock climbing wall at our gym.
Yeah.
So what we do is, instead of doing rock climbing wall, I'll have them do squats on the wall where they got to hold on to the wall and then do squats at the same time.
Gotcha.
Which, in order to do that, you're
your
using
fingers are locking for
your
dear life.
fingers. And it was like I was like surprised at like how hard it was on everybody's grips. Everybody kept going, my forearms, forearms.
Yeah.
And me, from training gi for the last
You're
So
so
it's
10
accustomed to
years,
it.
I was just like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But the thing is too, so the reason why I asked is because that's one of those things that I always looked at. I've busted my fingers up so many times. Like, I've broken my fingers.
Oh, yeah.
Over
That's
stupid
why I have to wear the
grips.
ring on the other hand, because this one doesn't work anymore.
Right.
Won't straighten.
No, it's the same thing with me. Like, I got stuck like this for like a year. So I started studying who's the next best, or who else uses grips as much as we do.
Yeah.
And it's mountain climbers.
Absolutely.
So what do they do? Because then you start seeing they'll lock themselves in just by doing this. Or they'll do a weird grip on the inside where they just come in and they just swell their hand up.
Yeah.
So then I started watching, okay, well, how do they train? Well, they have the little bars that they put up on a wall. So it'll just be a flat piece of wood and a notch that comes out. And it'll be a 3-inch grip, 2-inch grip, 1-inch grip, stuff like that.
Different lengths of the finger involved in it over time.
And that's the thing that's always been like, I mean, look at my fingers. I have super long fingers.
Yeah.
For me to sit there and say, okay, I'm going to hang on something like that, I'm not stupid. I snapped enough fingers. I've done it already. So, okay, well, how can I start doing that? So I started looking at it different ways.
Yep.
Then even as far as old kung fu training where they would sit there just grab sand and just start
rice
squeezing
or
sand,
bean,
right?
various things like that. Yeah.
Start digging it.
I think there's value to looking at, if you will, cross training, utilizing techniques found in other sports or athletic endeavors or martial arts, like you were saying in kung fu and whatnot. But again, it's important that we have the mentality of what is the end game? What's the final result I'm looking for?
Right.
What do I want to be great at? What's the thing? And if you can see that, analyze that, and make sure that what you're doing is somehow lined up with it, it's not way over here in left field, you're probably going to get a positive result. It may not be optimal or the best thing, but it's really hard to ever get that other than doing the thing. You know, you want to be better at spider guard, you got to do spider guard. Sorry, that's what's going to be the best thing for it. That really is.
Yeah.
How far back we step from that, that's what determines the value of an activity. It's something interesting a lot of athletes that I've worked with didn't realize is every time I work with somebody, I have no clue what I'm going to do with them. Hey, what would you do with me with a program? I'm like, I have no idea.
I
need to know everything about you before I can even start, and I'm probably going to guess at first. Like, I'm not going to pay you to guess. I'm like, yes, you are.
Yeah.
Because that's all any of us do. Is we start off with, well, in my experience, both with my education and the things I've done with other people, this seems like it might be right for you based on my analysis, but I don't know yet. We need to actually try it and see.
Well, it could be things like, okay, well, we're going to do this exercise. Well, I can see you're bad at this exercise because your flexibility, your hip mobility is bad. So now you got to take a step back and work on the hip mobility.
Regress it or progress it based on your performance. And heaven forbid, you know, the fun and exciting part I love, one of the things I enjoy the most about working with combat sports athletes is they're messed up. They're busted.
Yeah.
I can speak from experience. There's very few things on me that haven't been ripped or torn or jacked up or busted at current times even, right? So with that being said, I might have a great plan of attack for somebody, and then I get like, oh, you can't even put your hand over your head? Great, we're not doing that exercise, are we? So the need to modify what would be optimal to work with the human being in front of you is a very key part of being a great coach, regardless of what it is. I mean, even getting on the mats with your trained technique, you might have a technique that we're doing for class, and it just doesn't work for this person over here because their arms are too short or too long or whatever it might be. We need to adjust on the fly. And so understanding the technique or the activity I'm trying to partake with my clients and my athletes the best, I need to modify accordingly. So that makes it fun for me as far as I'm concerned.
So what do you think is the biggest mistake where we're not talking about the pros, but the serious amateur? What do you think is their biggest mistake when it comes to training as far as strength and conditioning?
I'm going to tell you right now.
Well, no,
diet.
Strength and conditioning. Diet. Well, talking to Chicken Finger Champ here.
We'll get to both those. So Shawn already said the first one, overtraining. Number one, I don't know that I've had a combat sports athlete that I've worked with that wasn't already overtraining when I first got with them. There's many people I said, all right, here's the first thing we're going to do. You're not going to train 7 days this week. That's the beginning. And you're going to start getting more results because you're not training 7 days this week, twice a day, plus your job, plus your kids, plus your dog, too much is too much, right? I always use the metaphor Goldilocks and three bears. Not too hot, not too cold, not too big, not too small. You need to find out what's just right for you. Remember, when you're training, you're actually breaking your body down. You're damaging the skin on your fingers, you're straining muscles and connective tissues, your entire cardiovascular system is pissed off at you at the end of that stupid thing, right? That's why you're all red and sweaty and angry, and you get out of bed and you're like, oh, where'd this bruise come from? Sweet. So the reality is this training is destroying you. You get better when you're resting and have put, hopefully, some proper nutrition in your face to rebuild your tissues a little bit better than they were last time based on what you did in your training. So overtraining, without a doubt, is the number one biggest mistake amateurs and pros make, for that matter. We kind of touched on this earlier when you said, we look at coaches. If you're not aligning your skill set training with this coach and that coach and that coach with your strength conditioning, and your nutritionist knows about it, and you got your recovery going on, if they're not lined up, they might be going against each other. Heaven forbid you do all on the same day.
Your diet might be complete horseshit compared to what you're
Certainly.
trying to do.
You might not have adequate calories because your nutrition coach over here is saying, hey, we want to get your body fat down this level before we do our weight cut.
But you're not feeding the
But
muscle.
your Muay Thai coach is like, we're doing 3 a day today. You're like, oh crap, not enough calories, too much work. Your body's not going to get what it needs.
You don't have that fuel.
So here, this is kind of this brings me to an interesting question for the jiu-jitsu athlete. Gi and no gi are almost different sports.
Certainly.
Different sports. If you're training just to get better in jiu-jitsu, you can train both. But if you're training for a competition,
you got to specialize.
Would you, if you were training for a no-gi competition, but you train at a gi school?
That happens.
Which
all day,
happened
to me. Absolutely.
Unfortunately. what can you do? I mean, is it just as simple as taking the gi off, and or do you can you prepare for a no gi tournament in the gi?
Certainly. I think, and this is more for intermediate or more advanced level trainees and athletes, because you have to understand, and specifically with grips, I mean, that's the main thing we're discussing here when you look at gi versus no gi, is you can't grab stuff with no gi. Well, you can, but that's checking oil, and you need to be careful what to venture in there.
Still legal.
So I think you can train in the gi still. You just need to realize, don't purposefully and even unconsciously go for grips that you are not going to be able to use in a no-gi environment. So you're looking at a lot more false grip hooks and things of that nature, pummeling a lot more for your for things instead of holding onto lapels.
Wrists instead
Absolutely.
I think the tough part, though, too, with that is you'll get used to a certain type of friction grip.
That's true. That's true.
You're not going to get. It's like if you can still train no-gi with gi pants, but you're not going to have that friction grip when you're holding half guard or when you even just in guard.
It's challenging, and like you said, that's in the, I don't want to say rare, but in the situation where you're in a gi school and you want to train for that. Yeah, I mean, go to open mat, stay after class late, get a couple buddies that you work with, and take that stupid jacket off. And
so I mean, you have to. It's tough.
You have to do it because I agree. Friction is the grips and friction are the two biggest differences between gi and no gi.
But what's funny is that he brings it up is when I did my first tournament with training with Shawn. I did my first no-gi match.
Yeah.
Didn't train a lick fucking no-gi. I did better in no-gi than I did in gi. I did way better. And no clue how, but I was getting everything that I wanted to get. Came into the no-gi match, it's like, I was eating dog shit on that one. But it blew my mind. It's like, how is that even possible, considering the fact that I trained so hard in gi that I was just killing it in no-gi? It made no sense to me. And then I started understanding, okay, well, first of all, mentally I came in with not giving a shit because I wasn't there focusing on no-gi. It was kind of like I was just going to do it. Second of all, it was I stripped down the technique into my reaction instead of focusing on the exact technique, and then I just went with it.
I think what you just said is a key thing that I see a lot of people making mistakes with gi versus no gi is reaction. What you said is if you know where you need to be for that technique based off of reacting after you baited somebody or you just observed that there's an opening for an opportunity, a lot of people use their grips to make up for the fact they weren't really paying close enough attention to catch the technique. So like, let me hold on here. Oh, there's something. No, there's such a slow reaction there. They're like, thank God I had that grip. Otherwise, I'd have never got this.
Right. You're working it out step by step. Okay, I got to do this.
I'm going to hold on long enough till I can figure out what the hell I'm supposed to do next.
That's what drillers make killers.
What I tell my guys is I go, look, when you do jiu-jitsu correctly,
it's fun.
Well, it's not fun. It's easy, and it feels like when it happens correctly, it feels like Tetris. It feels like it just locks into place perfectly without any effort. It's just like you're turning that piece as it falls down, and just at the as it lands in that moment, and you clear the four.
It's even better when you get to the point where you can start seeing that 2-3 moves ahead.
Certainly,
when you start seeing that, oh, I did this on purpose to get you to do that. I think that for me is really when I got bit by it. It wasn't just the fact that you could choke.
You weren't reacting anymore. You were proactive instead of reactive.
Well, it was playing the chess game.
Yeah.
So for me, it's I enjoy that. I look at it as close to nature as possible. It's the snake setting up to just tighten up the grip. So while you're struggling, it's just squeezing tighter. You don't even realize it. So to me, that's the way that I see it. Yeah, you have the battle, you fight, but then you start closing in and you make those rooms for escape smaller and smaller. So you're funneling them to where exactly you want to go.
Yep.
That's for me anyway.
Well, what's funny is I think of it a little bit differently. I look at, like, say someone is almost passing your guard and you're holding, like, say you had them in half guard, they're passing your guard. They got all the way out except for their foot. You got the foot stuck.
You're holding on for dear life.
Holding on for dear life. My theory is, and this is what I've done before, is I let them go.
Yeah.
Go to mount. Now you're in mount. Okay. Now this is another world. But if I show you this arm a little bit too much, you're going to go ahead and go for that armbar, which is
Yeah.
what I want you to do.
And then lose position.
Lose position. I come up. Now I have your back.
Yeah.
Now I'm choking you.
Yeah.
And it's still you're still baiting.
Yeah, well, it goes back to what you were saying.
Yeah.
But instead of baiting,
you're it's a different type of trap that you're setting.
It's jumping into the fire from the frying pan
into the fire.
so you can jump off the stove and into the sink to cool off.
It's kind of like you're trying to catch like was it like tarpon or something, or like noodling. You're just sticking your arm out there, like go for it. It's like you're mine, motherfucker. Like so, I definitely see it. I don't disagree with it.
I just gave away a big one of my secrets to people.
No, I think people know it.
Don't
at the end of the day,
jump to psychical and then hop in the mount.
Well, it's funny because when we used to roll a lot more, it was always the same case. I knew I was gonna end up in half guard.
Yeah.
So like, all right, let's just skip the bullshit. Let's go straight.
Let's
into
just
half
start
guard.
there.
And then I just started trying to play my pieces from there because I knew there wasn't gonna be any way that I wasn't gonna get caught there.
Yeah.
So like, let me go there, and then I'll figure my way out of like this quicksand from there. And little by little, and it's funny because now the biggest part for me is working on my half guard.
Yeah.
And I go back to rolling with him thinking, okay, my body can't do that, but how can I get to that same point with my mechanics?
I think it's interesting the parallels between positional training, so going into a bad position and learning how to work from there, which a lot of places spend a lot of time on. And I think that's a great thing to do. It's one of my preferred things to do is start someplace bad. It's like EBI overtime.
Yeah. Well, that's
hop on. Let's start from the back, right? So learning to start from a really challenging position, you're forced to become better there. And it's very similar to the very essence of what strength conditioning is. It's putting your body in a place where it has to be insulted by the thing you're doing and become better because of that. Training, and I say that instead of working out because they're very dynamically different things. CrossFit's working out, and CrossFit people are going to flip out right now because they're great at working out. That's awesome. If you want to be the best at working out, hey, that's your stuff right there, man. Do it.
Kenny Powers. I'm a real athlete. I don't try to be the best at exercising.
Exactly. So that's wonderful, and it's a great thing for them. But what we're looking at with, in this case, Jiu-Jitsu athletes, you need to be great at certain specific things, and that means your training needs to give you that result at the end, right? The 7 habits of highly successful people, habit number 2, begin with the end in mind. What do I want to be at the end of this? Why am I even doing this stupid thing that sucks so bad right now? It better give me this end result, because if it's not lined up, why am I wasting my time? So doing things that challenge the body just enough that it has to respond by going, oh, what the hell was that? And it gets better. You become more efficient at the movement pattern. You become able to endure the pain, discomfort, strain longer. Your muscles can contract faster, more efficiently. Your skin becomes thicker and more dense to prevent it from ripping off. Whatever that adaptation is, you have to set yourself up for it by going to that uncomfortable place.
Yeah, and it's kind of how I approach everything is become comfortable in the uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
To put yourself in that world of shit where then that's your awkward place.
What's funny is the better you get, that's the only, like, as a black belt, the only thing I can really do with my guys, if I'm going to roll with them, is put myself in a terrible position.
Yeah, let them go and go through stuff and get
me inside control, get my back, because that's the only way this is going to be
beneficial for both of you.
Right, beneficial for both of us.
And it is, because they get to progress to that point and, build up the skill, practice what you taught in class, whatever it is to get to that place. And then you have the value aspect of being able to, hey, okay, now this is actually challenging for me. Now I have to work from here in this difficult place. So
it's also beneficial for the student mentally.
Certainly.
Where you're not breaking them down and just smashing them. Because we
I've
know
been in
teachers
places,
that just smash the white belts for no reason. Well, what am I going to get out of it?
Yes, that's why you're the coach, because you're better than me. Thanks
but
for
here's the thing.
that.
If I start in a bad position, they have a very good chance of finishing, and that's great for their mentality.
Certainly,
if I have no problem if they get me.
The problem is when they can't tell that you gave it to them and they think they got it.
Goes from confidence to big head.
Ego. It's like, oh yeah, I almost got professor. Like,
no, you didn't.
Well, and I've heard it. And I've heard that before. Like, my man, listen.
I've got it going on at my school right now.
Yeah,
I've got a few guys.
I know who it is. I know exactly who it is. There's a couple of guys that like to push that button. Like, bro, do you like? Look at how you rolled with me. And you think you got it on him? Let's not. No.
Exactly.
I roll. I roll at anywhere from 40 to 60%.
Or you just pull a Kamaru, like that was only 30%.
No, I have to. I got to roll at 40 to 60%. But that's normal. It's if I'm feeling good. With the way my back has been over the last 2 years, I can't even, I'm just now getting to the point where I could get up to like an 80% roll or,
All right, honestly speaking,
to,
percentage-wise, what's the most percentage that you rolled with me at?
The most?
Yeah. Like,
60.
honestly, not ball busting. Like,
60?
honestly. 60?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it.
Maybe a little meter on the wall behind it.
Yeah.
I have some.
No, because, I forget, I think we were training for you for Masters, where, I got to push a little bit more, and I was still kind of a white belt, blue belt, so I wasn't really able to push them like crazy, but I was the only one there.
Size-wise, similar.
That could give them some kind of a push.
Yeah.
So it's curious, I'm always curious to see, like, my question to someone is, how much do you weigh? It's like, okay, I'm 210 or I'm 195. So in my head, I'm starting to build the knowledge, okay, their pressure compared to their weight compared to mine, so I know where I'm at.
Absolutely.
You know?
And you have to. And I think something that a lot of people don't do enough of at different places is train with different body types and sizes. I have the most difficulty with 135-pound guys and girls.
Trying to get
they're
in.
They're running around me like, oh yeah. Or
well,
get
no,
on
that's
top
not
of
even the
back mount or something.
Or
I'm
trying to get your hands inside. I'm like,
they're in turtle. I'm like fingers in between.
Yeah,
that's about it.
But that's one thing that I make so the way I do my drilling, my guys, I do 2 minutes. No, I've changed it a little bit. I used to do like 7 minutes, 1-on-1, but now I've changed it to 2 minutes. One guy goes for the whole 2 minutes. Then at the other second 2 minutes, the other guy goes, and then we switch partners every 4 minutes because I want them to go with different body types.
Yes.
Because number one, you don't know who you're going to get if you compete or in the street.
Exactly.
You don't know what body type you're going to get.
Exactly. That's important.
And when I first started, I used to hate having the whole where the professor picks. You go with him. You would go with him. But then the more I got into it, now I'm like, I'd love that because I want to. What I do is I never call anybody out.
Gotcha.
I stand there and say, whoever wants to go, I'll go. Smallest, biggest, I don't care. So to have someone say, you go with him, perfect. Yeah. I love it because then I don't pick.
As long as the professor's not just picking those two guys are tall.
Yeah.
And it might not be the best thing to do it that way.
No, it's the challenge of the size.
One of the worst things, though, is when you see the professors put girls with girls just because they're girls.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, no, this girl's a brown belt. Why would you put her with a white belt?
Absolutely.
For the whole, for the first half of the drilling session, the white belt isn't going to understand what's going on. The brown belt's not getting work. So let's switch it up a little bit. Sure, they can drill together, but not the whole time. Just because it's girls, and you see that a lot.
Too much.
There's a little macho. There's still a little macho left
until you
the
get in there with
sport.
that brown belt girl and she chokes you out 4 times in a row, and then you're like, okay, I'm just gonna zip it.
I mean, look at the size difference between me and Tammy Musumeci, and she kicked my ass. I'm like, fuck. She would be harder to roll with sometimes than Mikey.
She might be stronger than you though too.
But, oh no, 100%. No. That's not even a joke. That's like serious. Did
you work with them while you were out there?
No, I didn't.
Okay, because they moved from here out there.
Yes.
And it's funny because I feel rolling with Mikey, I think Mikey would take it super easy, but Tammy's like, nah.
Yeah.
And just
well,
smash.
not now that he's the fourth person fourth American to win.
That kid's amazing, man.
He's so amazing. Yeah.
And here's the thing, he's starting to get a little man muscle on him too.
Yeah, that's what's scary about it. Yeah. That was all technique, baby.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, now he's starting to get that man muscle.
What's he now? 22, 23?
No, not even. I think he just turned 20.
Puberty's gonna hit soon. He's gonna like girls.
When he hits 25, man, as long as he stays on top of everything health-wise, and he starts getting that, it's gonna.
Think about it. He was 16 when he was training with us.
It's like Nicky Ryan, man. Same thing.
Yeah.
You got somebody that they spent an adequate amount of time with great instructors, but it just clicked. They just get it, and their brains wrapped around it the right way. They put the time in, but they don't have the athleticism yet. you take and tack that athleticism on it, it's game over, man.
Yeah.
And your body's automatically building for that.
Yeah.
So you really are building a soldier for this
Absolutely.
specific type of war.
Because that's the training they do.
Right. That's the thing we always talked about Mikey. If you watch him sit down, he could sit there, have his butt on the floor, heels planted on the floor at the same time. And he wouldn't be losing any kind of balance.
Yeah.
He's just,
So a couple of my students went to high school with Mikey.
Okay.
They have a video of Mikey
sitting.
putting his heels, both his feet behind his head and walking on his hands in a classroom.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
that mobility and flexibility that his major part of his game and all the inversion and stuff that he does, that's something that was there. That's that you have a genetic predisposition to certain things. And if you can understand that when you go into your jiu-jitsu and say, hey, this is something that's just who I am, and you're training and you're trying these different things out, like, ooh, this one works for me. I can do this technique. This guard is my guard.
But isn't it true, though, that most, like, look at a baby's flexibility.
Oh, yeah. He puts your feet in your mouth all day.
Yeah.
Mikey been training since he was 4 to 6-ish, 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Tammy since she was 6.
Yeah.
Imagine if you were, instead of, our generation, when you got into high school, it was all about playing in the weights and getting big and walking around with the invisible luggage under your arms.
Nobody stretched. Nobody did
Nobody
No.
stretched,
No.
but imagine if you kept that flexibility from your childhood, and that's all that is making sure to
true.
you
You know
do
what?
it every day.
The one thing I learned too when working with Flex and all those guys is they're so adamant now about stretching and really building the flexibility for
Especially the
different
top
reasons.
guys, the ones that really intelligently train and flex is a great
Right.
example of that because they're very holistic in their approach.
Yeah. But his thing on the stretching, because he would stretch, and it's funny because I put together the that old like Crow Cop like split machine, whatever, the one that what's his face Jean-Claude would sit there and show off it. So I put it together and we would do it, and then he got on there. I'm like, bro, that's pretty close to a split. So he would sit there and stretch, and the way that he explained to me made so much sense. It's your muscle is covered with the fascia, right? And that's kind of that's that shield, that's the cover for it. So if you don't stretch the fascia, then it doesn't have room to grow.
Think of it like a koi fish, right?
Right.
The larger the pond you put it in, the bigger the fish will
The bigger it's gonna
become.
get.
It's very true. A lot of these guys that have, in bodybuilding, professional bodybuilding, that have gotten really large, Jay Cutler's a great example
Yeah.
also. They do extreme stretching to get their fascia to accommodate for the growing muscle inside of it. And so that's a real thing.
And then you notice that I would say more so the past 10, 15 years of bodybuilding, people don't have the ripped
stretch marks.
Not the stretch marks, but the ripped pecs.
Oh, the separation between the upper and lower portion.
because they ended up having like a big separation.
Oh,
here.
got an actual pec tear. Gotcha.
The
Gotcha.
pec tear. That's what Sylvester Stallone had. If you watch Rambo when he's working out, you see it here because he would just tear the shit out of it.
Well, that's what I've started doing yoga over the last 2 years. I've been doing yoga. I was doing it once a day, and about 4 or 5 months ago, I started doing it anywhere from 4 to 6 days a week.
Really?
It's the only thing that's made my back feel any kind of relief or feel any kind of improvement.
Yeah.
I was seeing doctors. I never got an MRI, but I've seen doctors, chiropractors, masseuses, all this stuff. I think it's my piriformis. If everything is
Self-diagnose.
well,
We've all got Google, buddy.
Well, working
I'm a health MD expert.
with
That's
Mary
what I am.
Beth. Mary Beth, who's
Fix the mic, by the way. You got to point it up.
Mary Beth is
Just fix it so it's tilted like that.
There we go. Well, it's not
You got
tilted.
this.
Okay. So Mary Beth is a masseuse at my gym.
Nice.
She
She will make you cry.
She just myofascial release.
Gotcha.
She's the one that kind of said, "Well, this is what I think it is."
Yeah.
And she thought it was my piriformis, and like nothing was working. But then I was like, I can't even train. I couldn't even
that
stand.
sucks.
I couldn't stand. Like if I stood for more than 2 minutes, I'd have to get down on the ground, roll on a lacrosse ball.
Terrible.
I was like that after the 2 car accidents. I'd have to be like this I'd have to move every.
Just
couple
finding a
hours.
position
Yeah.
where you could tolerate.
But
It would
that's
just
what
hurt after 30 minutes, and then I'd have to move,
Ugh.
and then I'd have to move.
But what yoga is, what I didn't realize what yoga is it's a way to break up the fascia without force. It's letting gravity do what it's supposed to do
Yeah.
in a heated environment. The heat.
So you do hot yoga?
I do hot yoga.
Gotcha. Okay.
So the heat makes it so your body doesn't, so your muscles are warm and pliable, and so they can. You don't stretch in yoga. That's the misnomer that like I got to yoga. I was like, all right, here we go, stretch my ass out. No,
It's interesting. He went straight to stretching his ass
All
out.
right, like
weird.
that was just that's kind of
we're here, we're quick.
Man.
But like I thought I was just gonna stretch everything and that was gonna be it.
Yeah.
But no, it's letting gravity happen. And
I don't think you have a choice in that, by the way.
well,
Yeah.
but letting gravity happen in a certain way
Yeah.
that it breaks up the fascia.
So, stretching is a big part of training athletes. Doesn't matter what the athletic endeavor is, because you can't apply force efficiently and effectively if you can't move into that position, wherever that position is, regardless, whatever it is, right? So, when we look at mobility, stretching to achieve mobility, something a lot of people don't really understand about stretching is that it's predominantly a nervous system-based thing. You brought up earlier that when we're babies, we can put our feet in our mouth, no big deal. Just parts just go wherever they want to go. Over time, your body changes, your nervous system changes how much range of motion it allows you to have based on what you do consistently. If you don't bend over for 20 years straight, guess what your body's not going to want you to do or allow you to do? It's not going to let you bend over. If you have a complete disarticulation of your right shoulder because you had somebody caught you in an arm bar and you tried to roll out, but they had your thumb locked in, your body moved and your arm didn't, this guy.
Yeah. Preaching to the choir.
You have it stapled back on afterwards. You probably don't have enough range of motion to put your shirt on and off properly, and you have to have your wife help you,
Yeah.
like I do. That's not necessarily because of the tissue, but more so because your nervous system has learned, hey, there's bad things that occurred in this range of motion. Don't go there.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's the same when you see people with I catch myself all the time with slouching.
Yeah.
And then you see everyone's just stuck down like this and curved over. I would just see people slouching like, oh shit, that's right. And it's the same thing. Your body's gonna adapt to the positions that you put yourself
You're
in.
training. You
Yeah.
don't know it,
Well-
maybe it's subconscious, but you're training your body to be in a certain place and do a certain thing.
I tell people jiu-jitsu is a sport that we can do for the rest of our lives. I go because, and I'll tell you why. There's a reason why Helio could do jiu-jitsu at 95. If I get down on the ground every day, guess what I'll be able to do every day?
back up.
Get back up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one of the big things that with elderly is they have a hard time getting back up because
true.
when's the last time after you hit 60, why would you go on the ground anymore?
True.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's even in the cultures. That's why you see other cultures that my grandma literally just turned 83 today.
Nice. Happy
Today is
birthday,
her
Grandma.
birthday. Yeah, no,
Happy birthday.
she's here from Italy right now, so
That's wonderful.
I'm ducking out of grandma to be here for the
Ooh,
podcast. So.
maybe I am the special guest.
Yeah.
I feel special.
Special.
But she's 83. She moves fine, no problem. Like, granted, she's not gonna have the cardio and the energy to keep going. Like, I mean, but back in the day when she was like in the 60s, 70s, like in her 70s, I could take her out walking all day, and
Yeah.
she's gonna do it all in heels, and it's not gonna bother her one bit. Obviously, now it's different, but you see 70-year-olds here,
Yeah.
and it's
Well, they're decrepit. They do
walkers,
nothing.
and they don't do anything.
If you don't use your body, it'll take away your capability of doing things.
I don't need to do this. Why am I going to sit there
Yeah,
and be
absolutely.
capable
The
of
body
doing it?
and the brain are competing and fighting all the time. The body says, hey, do the least amount necessary just to get by. And it
Yeah.
adapts to that. The brain's like, hey, I want to go do stuff. So that competition is who wins, this one or this one, determines your capabilities. If your brain doesn't overcome the body's desire to just chill
Yeah.
and eat some yummy food and sit perfectly still.
Chicken fingers.
Yeah, right? Cold chicken fingers, by the way. That's nasty.
That's delicious.
No, it's not. Stop trying to lie. So if your brain doesn't overcome the body's tendency to want to minimize any damage done to it, because all activity causes damage. Me just wave my arm around like this is causing damage at a microscopic level. So the body wants the least amount of damage necessary. The brain wants you to be able to do stuff in the world. Whichever one wins is how your body ends up having capabilities. If you're consistently getting down on squatting in a third world squat where your butt's down on the ground and that's how you just hang out and you do your knitting down there with your butt on the floor, it's no big deal to you. If you don't do that because you don't use your mind to overcome your body's desire to sit still, and you just sit still, you're not going to be able to do that. If you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah.
Maybe we should get some of them toilets without toilets here. Like
hole
they
in
have
the ground?
Asia.
The holes.
Yeah, have the holes in the
done that
ground.
before?
No.
Hey,
Yeah,
what's with the
it's
3 shells, by the way?
Keep cursing.
Has anybody ever figured out how the 3 shells
No.
worked?
Yeah, no, they have.
have?
There's like a whole blog. They literally went in. There's an explanation on how to use the 3C shell.
I love the internet, by the way.
I think it was you take 2 to pinch and like clear everything, and then the third one to
pinch
scoop.
what? If I'm just peeing, what are we pinching? What are we
Well,
doing?
no, you're not going to use it. That's for when you're taking a dump. That's why he needed the paper.
So, have you ever? Let's since we're talking about poo, have you ever happened to be lucky enough to poo on
Shit
one
your
of those Japanese toilets?
Magic. It's got like 45 different things that it does.
Yes.
It warms up.
Yeah, the
and
bidet?
It
No.
It
Oh,
squirts,
no,
it
the
squirts
ones
your
that
booty, then it
automated one?
blows on
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
and-
Yeah.
I stayed in the Ritz Carlton in Quebec
Quebec.
but in not Quebec City, but in Montreal in Quebec, because I went to Quebec City as well. But in Montreal, I stayed at the Ritz Carlton, and my wife's boss paid for our hotel room.
Yeah.
Very generous man, and
Clearly, he let you.
I walked
let you get
into
your
the
ass
Did you have to
sprayed.
walk around with your pinky up the whole time?
no, but I walk into this bathroom, and all of a sudden the toilet lid just
Oh, yeah.
raises.
It knows you're
Yeah.
there.
And then I was like,
Hello,
"What
Shawn.
the heck is
It's good to
this?"
see you again.
So yeah,
I can
and
see that you'd like to make a number 2, Shawn.
so here's the thing: you sit on
You're
it,
rumbling.
you sit on it, it's heated.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
seat's heated.
Yeah.
After you go, you get washed with not with cold water, with warm water.
Yeah, buddy.
Then it
blows
dries
you.
you off.
Yes.
And I was like, how come I shit like a savage
Thank you.
everywhere else in
Thank
my
you.
life?
Single ply finger going through sandpaper
Yeah.
in your butthole. What's that all about? Not good.
It's tough times all around.
They should make those toilets more affordable.
Absolutely.
You know, you can get them. Like I was gonna buy one the other day at Costco. It's like $200, $300.
That's not gonna. No.
$300 for me to have a clean ass.
No,
I'm
these
okay with
these
that.
toilets are 10 grand.
You know who did that is Maradona for the World Cup. So Maradona is like an asshole. I don't know if you follow soccer though. So
A little bit.
he was the coach for the Argentinian team. So whatever went. Whatever he said, that was lost. So he went to the hotel. He said, "I'm only gonna stay here. I'm only gonna be the coach if I have this toilet." And it's the same thing. It's like a $10,000
So they had to swap
toilet.
out a toilet in his room?
Wait. So he goes into the room. He's like, I don't fucking like this room. Give me another room. So they literally swapped their toilet,
No.
installed a $10,000 toilet. Didn't like it. They had to go install another one. Bro, Maradona is an asshole.
That's awesome.
He was such a scumbag when he played in Italy. He never paid his taxes.
Yeah, but didn't Argentina almost make it to the finals this year?
This year, I don't know. No.
In the last World Cup, I thought
Yeah.
they did really good.
No, they did really good, but I don't remember.
I don't remember if it was the finals or the.
He was such a scumbag. He didn't pay any taxes, and Italy is full of assholes when it comes to taxes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's so corrupt.
So different than here.
He was in. No. Listen, this is how bad they are. So they're like, you owe us money. He's like, fuck you guys. I'm not paying shit.
I'm moving
so
to
they're
another
like,
country.
if you ever come back here, you're gonna fucking pay.
Yeah.
He's like, fuck you guys. I'm not paying shit. Wouldn't you know it? On that same flight when he was going there, it stops in Italy.
Oh.
So they fucking pulled him out of the
They
plane.
grabbed his ass?
And they're like, you got to pay. He's like, I got no money. He's like, those are fancy watches. He's got his own watches from, I forget the name of the company. Like, those are some fancy watches. We'll take those. So he had to take his Maradona, name,
spectacular.
watches, hand them over to him.
I
They're
would
like,
never wear my own watch, by the way. I don't wear a watch, period. But I certainly wouldn't wear my
I
watch.
definitely would. I remember.
You'd wear my watch?
Huh?
Okay,
I'd wear
that's
your
fair.
watch.
That's fair.
I got tons of Where's my watch?
I've worn a watch by this guy, Timex. Have you heard of him?
Swatch? Swatch? He's Swedish. No, I mean, I just love watches anyway, just for the artwork for it. But yeah, they were like $100,000 watches.
Jeez.
And he's like,
Does it wash your car or do your taxes or what's going on? Well, obviously not his taxes.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't pay his fucking taxes.
Is that a heart rate monitor or just a really fancy watch?
It's
Apple
just
Watch.
the Apple Watch,
Oh,
which I really
fancy.
enjoy.
You should get the Huawei watch.
Huawei?
The what?
The Huawei watch. That China is like all.
So they can track where you're going.
Yeah,
and what
you
you're
haven't
doing.
heard about that?
No.
Oh, dude, that's a whole
Oh,
different.
man.
That's straight out of a James Bond
It
movie.
is. It's good stuff.
Yeah, you got to look it up. It's pretty cool. It's like they arrested the daughter of
VP?
the founder.
Yeah.
Oh, the one up in Canada.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they were using the.
So there's chips that they put onto the little tiny boards inside those, and phones and watches, and a variety of other technology. It's a little innocuous little chip on the board. There's 500 chips on there.
Sucks all your info.
And it just is transmitting stuff.
Straight to China.
Oh,
Straight
yeah.
so it was a big security risk. So they banned them in Australia. They're like, no, we're not taking your stuff here. And then the USA kept on telling people. That's why they stopped selling them in the U.S. And Samsung did a lot of work with them too.
So what's to stop them from doing it into an iWatch?
Well, they
in
do.
China?
Apple does that. They got caught with it, and they're just kind of like, "Oh, we're sorry." That's because they could track you, and somebody caught it in the iPhone. I think it was like the 8 that they caught the information. Same with Google. Google was doing the same thing. And so like, "Oh, we're sorry. We didn't know. We shut that off."
we know they listen to us.
Well, listen to
because
us right now. They're going to market us with something when we get out of here.
For sure. I guarantee you're gonna have like an
you're
ad
gonna have
for
the,
Huawei. You're an article or an ad for
we're gonna
Huawei.
get that split machine.
Yeah,
It's gonna
absolutely.
pop up out of nowhere.
For sure, it's gonna happen.
Jean-Claude Van Damme in it.
No, it's pretty
you know
interesting
what's
to see it.
sad is it's become a joke.
Yeah.
We're laughing about it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
But
So
it's-
they did the research, and when you look into marketing, something like 60% of millennials are willing to give up all their private information if it makes their life more convenient.
Absolutely.
So I'll give you all my information, whatever you want to know, if you're going to give me personalized ads, if you're going to sit there and give me the news articles that are more geared towards me, they're completely fine with it. But don't get mad when all of a sudden you're getting hacked.
Well, it's like that movie with Tom Cruise, Minority Report.
Yeah.
You remember that one where he's
Yeah.
walking along through the mall and it's projecting out specific ads for him as he goes by the stores?
Yeah.
That's not very far off.
No.
Scan your
It's
retina.
it's already
Throw
started.
it up there and you do that. I mean, we're already 2/3 deep into this thing, and it's just going to continue down that pathway. And it's kind of this debate: is that good? Is that bad? Like you were saying, a lot of millennials are like, hey, I don't want to have to see a bunch of superfluous baloney I don't care about. Only show me things I actually do care about. So you need to track my stuff to do that. Okay, a little bit of privacy given away
But
there.
here's the thing. Do you ever use Google Maps?
I did on the way over here to find y'all.
Right, but do you use it for traffic?
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Oh, you know
I
how-
listen. I listen to it
And
because
that
one
means they know where you're at.
Right, that's how they track it. There's
Right.
they're not looking at any satellite. What they look at is the
Everybody's
amount
using
of traffic or the amount of phones in that location.
Yep, and how
Yeah.
fast they're moving.
Right.
Well,
So-
what's
You're
funny
done.
was
it's already you're ready balls
what's
deep.
funny
homie.
is as I've driving up to North Carolina one year. I decided to go. That goes. We have a new route for you.
right.
Would you like to do it? I'm like, no, I'm going. I'm doing what I'm doing.
Exactly.
They go, there's a lot of traffic, and it showed traffic, and sure enough, once I got there,
Yep.
There's traffic.
traffic. I was like, you got to be kidding! It didn't
How
show
do
it.
you know?
It didn't show it on the
Yeah.
actual map,
itself.
but then so then I was like, I'm listening next time, and I listened next time, and it brought me
Better.
faster, and it
So since you brought that up, this past week I was in Arkansas for work, and I was a couple of hours away from this place I've wanted to go to my whole life, ever since I found out about it. It's called Crater Diamond State Park, and you can actually go dig for diamonds.
the place we talked
Really?
about.
Yeah, I got to go.
We were gonna do
Did
that.
you get
We-
a diamond?
So here's the thing. There was a whole fucking adventure to fucking get out there, man. So
A kid found. Remember what
yeah,
was
a kid found like a 4-carat, 10-carat diamond.
It was,
yeah.
No, it was like 400 grand or 600 grand
Jeez.
diamond he found. Just like a 6-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Digging.
People find them all the time. So I've always wanted to go there. So I was up there for work. I'm like, fuck it. I'm here. I'm going. So I wake up 4 o'clock Saturday morning, get up, get all my shit together. 2-hour drive, 2.5 hours through the mountains. Mind you, I didn't really think this fucking through. I'm thinking, I got GPS. I'll just go.
You had GPS.
Right. So when I tell you this shit was fucking scary, I was It was giving me back roads, super country back roads,
Oh,
whatever.
boy.
Once you get into the forest, into the park,
Bye-bye technology.
if I had my motorcycle or if I was driving a rally car, I'd be in fucking heaven. But not at 5 o'clock in the morning, pitch black in the mountains. And of course, with my luck, there's nobody there. There's fucking nothing. It's pitch black, having a blast. I was jamming out, had my music blasting in the brand new rental car. Out of nowhere, I just see two beams coming at me. And like, that guy's catching up to me pretty fucking quick. And all of a sudden I realize it's a big rig. It's a big rig hauling ass in the mountains. And I'm going downhill all of a sudden. This guy had to be doing at least 80 or 90 on my ass.
Behind you coming downhill.
Behind me going downhill, over the hills, taking turns. He had no fucking business taking at that
See,
speed.
it was new to you. He'd been on that road 100 times. That's
Right.
why he's doing 80 going downhill.
Right. But, so there's a really bad design. They didn't really give you any shoulder. So
Oh, goody.
when the road stops, it goes straight down. And it's like that the entire fucking way. Even when you come up to houses, there's random houses in the mountains. There's only that little bit of driveway, and then it's a steep drop. So there's no way for me, while I'm trying to stay ahead of this guy, to do 90.
Yeah.
I can't go into the other lane. It's only 2 lanes, mind you, because it's all blind corners. Fuck. So I have to hit a $110 going downhill to try and outrace him and yank it to the side of the road in the gravel to give him enough time to get past me. I almost shit my pants because this is all pitch black.
That's why I wear a diaper when I drive at night.
Well, yeah.
And then,
plus
mind
you don't have
you,
to stop. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
GPS is gone, so I lose my music and my
Oh,
GPS. So it's
boo.
fucking
Oh, you were
dead
streaming
time.
music?
I'm like, fuck.
Oh.
So it's
That's when the crickets get real loud. All of
Yeah.
a sudden, you don't notice, but those crickets are real loud.
I've
So-
seen this movie before, by the
I
Yeah.
way.
kept on getting lucky because it kept on going in and out. So I would get lucky enough that maybe a mile or two before I'd have to turn, it says 1 mile, turn right. Oh, thank God, you're back. And then I keep going, and then it stops. So now I remember looking, I have 8 miles before the next turn. Fuck. And it was shitty because I wasn't going to look down on my phone. So I had it in the Apple CarPlay going on in the car. But once it shuts off, it disconnects, it doesn't keep showing it.
Yeah.
So I'm running blind, and I have to constantly keep on adding on. Man, it was the most stressful fucking 2 hours.
Did you find a diamond?
So, get there, fucking run out there digging. People are serious about this shit.
Really?
It's not
They're
a
out
joke.
there. They got gear on.
Bro, they were coming in with dollies. This guy had 20 Home Depot buckets. Full on shovels and everything. So I found out you could rent it. So I go to rent it. The girl's like, what do you want to do? Do you want to dig or do you want to just sift through the sand? I'm like, no, I'm here to fucking dig. Just flat out, I'm here to dig. She's like, okay, rent this. It was like $30. She gives me
For a shovel?
Well, it was a deposit. It was like 10 total, but you got to put the deposit.
Okay.
She gives me the
I was gonna be-
dinkiest.
I think the shovel's made out of diamonds.
Yeah.
What the hell, man?
She gives me the dinkiest fucking little shovel. It's literally about
Oh,
a
man.
foot, 2 feet long.
Workout
And
shovel.
it's
That's
a
like-
pickaxe and a shovel put together. So I'm like, all right, well, I got to use the pickaxe to really get into the hard dirt. So I'm like, I couldn't unscrew it. I couldn't do it. And I was like, fuck this. So I went to crank it and shift sides, snap it.
There goes your $30.
So now I go back. I'm like, do you have a real shovel? This is too small for me. And she's like rolling her eyes. Like, it became a whole fucking ordeal. 4 hours, because that's all I had left before I had to leave.
Yeah.
Another 2 hours to get to the airport. 4 hours of digging and sifting through it. And they had these little containers, whatever, with water to go and sift and pan through everything. That shit's no fucking joke, man. My back was still on fire.
There better be a diamond at the end of the story.
Not a single
No
fucking
diamond?
one.
God.
Have you?
So
Man.
here's the thing. Here's what's bullshit though. So I fucking all these years. This is what fucking irks me. All these years of I want to go one day, and I finally get the opportunity. And they tell you it's very common for someone to just be walking by because they plow the field.
really?
It's 37 acres. They plow the fields every night. So the dirt,
New dirt on the top, whatever,
So
yeah.
it's very common that people just walk by and find a diamond or find a gem or
You just
whatever it
happen
is
to
on
be
there.
there, buddy.
So I'm like walking around, I don't see anything. I really gotta fucking dig. So afterwards, I got little quartz and whatever, jasper and all this other. It's actually a volcano.
Yeah.
So it's all these
Yeah.
different like volcanic ash and rocks or whatever. I hear the girl talking. She's like, "Oh no, you have to dig really deep to get one." Like, motherfucker, why won't you tell me? And then I realized, you know what? It's got to be one of a couple of things. Either they plant them,
After
right?
seeding them.
So here's the thing. So there's a couple of different water stations, right, with 4 or 5 troughs of a foot or two of water.
Yeah.
It's all muddy, so you can't see it. So there's got to be tons of stuff that falls down at the bottom. At the end of every night, they open it, they sift through it themselves.
Yeah.
There's got to be tons of people that fucked up. There's got to be tons. They got to be going out there sprinkling the shit at night. The real diamonds are there, though, but they're not going to tell you how to find them. Why would they fucking tell you how to find a diamond that you could get rich off of? So I heard the girl say, oh, no, to find a place where most people find them, they're all the way in the back, and you got to dig like a solid 7-8 feet down into the ground.
Unless you're burying bodies, that ain't happening, homie.
Right. So here's the thing. That's why I realized people are here for 3 or 4 days.
That's like Vegas, man. They're out there in that machine. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win. All you do
like-
is get a big left arm. I'm gonna win.
But you know what?
At least this one, you're doing something with your
That's true.
body. You're
But
Sure,
the
there's
cool
no
part-
free drinks there, though.
Yeah,
the
well,
cool
there's
part
muddy
is,
water in a trough. That's free.
The cool part was it's families come out there. You see all these families. Some of them are kind of more,
Yeah.
Ding.
or they're more,
You did say it was Arkansas, right?
yeah, Arkansas.
There you have it.
They're more, I'm trying to think of the right word, serious about it to the point where they're rude to their kids.
Wow.
Where they're really there to find it.
Really
Like,
Bobby in the car.
Like running with their kids. Come on, we got to get a good spot.
Or like they're yelling at them like, no, you do this. So I remember seeing one guy
It's
who
like
had
Black Friday
he
out
had
there.
his wife. No, it really was. His wife and daughter are the ones digging, and he's the one sifting through them.
Wow.
So they keep on coming by with buckets, and his whole day was spent sifting through stuff.
Hey,
and
people have
people-
different ideas of vacations, buddy.
Listen, would I do it again?
During the daytime.
Maybe
Absolutely.
with a group, it would be.
With a group, it'd be fun because you're
Yeah,
out there
certainly.
digging stuff. But would I go out of my way to fucking go back there? Not a fucking chance. But it was beautiful to drive there, come back. It was cool.
Somewhere in that land, there's a huge diamond.
Oh, for sure.
Somewhere there's
And
something.
Somebody had just found one the month previous. It was. I remember they have the photo of it, and it was a fucking rock, 3-carat
Isn't
diamond.
it funny how it's just a rock? It's just a
Yes,
rock.
it's a rock.
just a
Well,
rock.
gold is
It's just
gold
metal.
is a
It's
metal.
just a metal. If you
But-
happen to stumble across it, if you happen to live in a place out in the Middle East somewhere, and there just happen to be old dead dinosaurs down under the ground, it liquefied,
fine.
you're going to happen to be rich forever and ever and ever. Just it happened.
But
Money,
it's the value that they put
money,
out there.
and all that stuff. All that is communication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We agree
That this
that
is
it's
what
got
the value.
this has value.
So here's the other
Yay,
story.
Bitcoin.
Here's the other story. What happened? So
Please go back up.
yeah, right. So we all go out to dinner. It's like a whole big group of people. We all go out to dinner, and then afterwards, I always like to see what kind of cool shit is around the area. There's an old arcade place there, bar/arcade. Mind you, this is
Those are
also
the best.
Dry County. So
Oh.
there's no real booze. You could get drinks at the bar. So I'm like, let me go just check it
Oh,
out.
there's real booze, just not at the store.
It's a meth town is what that fucking place
There
is.
you
So
go.
I walk in, right?
Got a lot of orange juice
And there's
out
a
there.
guy sitting to the right next to the door on his phone, obnoxiously loud. It's a gamer dude on his laptop. I go up to the guy that runs the place. You can tell he's a little bit tweaky. I'm like, hey man, you want some coffee? Yeah. Like his hands are just kind of jutting out.
Fingers are moving a lot.
Yeah. So I'm like, no, I'm good with the coffee. I just want to play some cool video games. The photos that they put made it look amazing. He had 4, 5 arcade like games.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh.
He
false
had an
advertising.
old school Super Mario Brothers arcade machine,
Nice.
which that was cool, whatever. But I was over here. They had X-Men and Ninja Turtles and
Okay,
stuff. Street
okay.
Fighter, the original Street Fighter 2 machine, super dope.
Those are fun.
So I'm sitting there just playing Ninja Turtles, and I hear the fucking guy on the laptop. Oh, bro, you gotta come out here. You'll love it. You'll get tired in like 30 days. It's boring as shit. But I got an awesome bachelor pad. We could just have a huge party. We can wreck it. I don't give a fuck. I'm not even gonna be here that long. He's like, wait till you see the stuff that I'm cooking, man. It'll
Oh
blow your
my
mind.
God.
It'll change everything, man. It's gonna change the game. I've been cooking it. I've been perfecting and stuff. I'm like, whoa,
There's
okay.
a low likelihood he's talking about baked goods.
So, and then he's like, and then he gets on the phone. He's like, hold on, buddy. I'm going to put you on speaker real quick. He's like, so be careful what you say. It's like, motherfucker, you just been talking about it this
Yeah,
whole time.
loud as shit. You see me over here, don't
Yeah.
you?
So I'm just trying to play fucking Ninja Turtles, bro. So I'm sitting here playing, and then he goes back on the phone. He's like, whoa, what do you got, man? What do you got? He's like, oh, bro, don't even bother putting them in baggies, man. We'll sell it by the bump. We'll just sell it by the bump. I'm like,
Oh
all
my
right.
God.
I'm like, listen, I'm Mr. Roll with it all day, no problem. But once you start making serious drug deals like this, out in the open, for sure you're gonna get busted. And he just kept going. He's like, yeah, man, we'll just sell it by the bump. Yeah, I'll set up the party right now. We'll just get a bunch of people. I'll make it happen, man. We'll get loaded. He's like, don't even worry. This is the best part. He's like, don't even worry about it. It's just a Schedule 2 here, so you won't even get in that much trouble. And I'm like, oh my God.
He's not a savvy businessman.
I didn't even fucking finish the quarter. I just walked out.
He's not a savvy businessman, or he's a very good undercover cop.
No. You know when you can tell the difference between an undercover cop? It's like, I'm out.
That's hilarious.
It was definitely, listen, it was a lot better than what I thought it was going to be.
So that whole town sounds pretty awesome, that whole area.
Wow, dude, closest.
I bet you that truck driver was on that good stuff. That's why I was doing 300 miles an hour behind you.
Closest Starbucks is like 20-minute drive.
You don't need Starbucks. You're high all the time.
Exactly. Closest Dunkin' Donuts doesn't even exist. They didn't even have them there.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck,
it's competition.
Closest liquor store, 19 miles. I'm like, fuck, man, I'm out this place.
That's awkward. I lived in Vegas most of my life. Right?
Yeah.
And
booze is
you
everywhere.
could go to a drive-through at a liquor store, and they'll give you a cup with ice when you buy your alcohol. I'm not shitting you. They literally have that, like, here, go ahead and drink drive. Have fun. Hey.
Yeah. Don't give a fuck.
I'm not making
There's
it
no
up.
There's not an open container.
No, you can run around
Vegas?
with bottles down the strip, just dumping them on your face if
Really?
you want to.
I did not know
people
that.
walking around with the
They got
big
big
whale
guitars
bone
full of
things,
alcohol,
yeah.
Eiffel Towers full of alcohol. It's ridiculous.
No,
I did it.
I've seen that, but I didn't know. I thought driving you couldn't have an
No,
open
driving.
container.
I wasn't joking about the drive-through. You can't drink and drive. That's illegal. But they will give you a cup of ice when you buy your alcohol bottle at that place.
You know, I just like
They're
to
just
suck
going
on
like,
ice
hey,
as
you
it
probably
is.
shouldn't drink that in the car.
Yeah. They don't
Right?
give a shit.
So I went from living there from being 17 until just a couple years ago, and I'd go visit and live in other places. I came here, and first of all, stuff closes in other places. What's that shit?
Yeah.
Like it's
What do you
365 out there. I don't even say 24/7.
Yeah.
It's just everything's always open. You want to buy a house at 3 a.m.? Cool, no problem on a Tuesday. Whatever.
Yeah.
So things close. You have to go to special places to buy alcohol. What the shit is that?
Yeah.
And I can't walk around just drinking it when I want to. That's not fair.
Not
Not that I drink, but if I wanted to.
in
I
Florida?
It's my God-given
If I
right as an
wanted
American.
to.
So how did Florida? What was the siren call of South Florida?
I came down here. I had a business partner. I taught the business of personal training in a school out in Vegas, and the owner of that school wanted me to come out and help run one of his fitness, health, and wellness marketing companies out here. So I came out and helped set it up and run that place. That was the first year I was out here, and that's what brought us down here. I'm like, hey, it sounds nice down there. Let's go check it out. Had a business opportunity. Wanted to get the heck out of Vegas. Been there for a little too long, and
So you've grew up in Southern California.
yep. Well, I got older. I'm not growing up.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, you got older. What would you say is the biggest difference? Was there a culture shock coming here? I mean, opposed to like the things closing, but I mean the
variety of things. People are assholes in Vegas.
Oh, that's for sure.
Some of the most concentrated dick faces you'll ever experience. Reason being, and you've probably seen this or heard it, the Bureau of Tourism and the city of Las Vegas used for a long time the slogan, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And essentially that translates to people that travel there, save up money, come from all over the world, to you can do whatever the fuck you want, and there's no repercussions.
Yeah.
So what do? They're assholes because they get to do it where there's a bunch of strangers and no repercussions, essentially, right? So that's the culture.
There's always repercussions.
Oh, trust me, brother. You're preaching to the choir on that, but my point is that's the belief system, the subconscious belief system for a lot of people that visit Las Vegas. And that, unfortunately, that culture of the Strip, which is a very small subsection of the Las Vegas Valley, there's 2 million people out there, and there's only a couple 100,000 people on the Strip. So the vast majority of Las Vegas is not the Strip.
Yeah.
Okay? So that culture on the Strip permeates out. It seeps into the pores of everybody that serves those people, that run the restaurants, that are in the service industry, that run the casino. They live out somewhere out in the suburbs, right? And so those people, it just gets into them. And so it's a lot of assholes, directly and indirectly in Vegas. And so it'll wear on you living there for a while. It's a great place to visit, lots of fun and excitement. I just referred one of my buddies out there the other day. He's like, hey, where should I go? I'm like, go here, do this, that, have a great time. But in small controlled doses is what I'd recommend. Coming here to South Florida, specifically in the West Palm area, night and day. Now, there's some tourism down here, don't get me wrong, but Vegas is only tourism, right?
Yeah.
And down here, it's a dynamically different age group. I was the old guy in Vegas. Down here, I'm the young guy. I'm like, this is awesome, first of all. Right? Vegas is super fake.
Well,
Right?
Palm Beach is pretty
Oh
fake.
no, bro. Oh.
Well,
Fake or,
Ooh.
fake or
Pick
just
something.
genuine?
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
All those things. The people don't make
And
the money they
genuine.
make.
What is
Disingenuous.
Thank you.
We know what you were
Yeah.
saying. I'll spell check you
You're
later
the
on
writer, huh?
Facebook. So here, when I hold the door for somebody, they say thank you. And they acknowledge my existence on the planet. In
Not in
Vegas, if
Vegas.
I didn't hold the door long enough for somebody, they give me the finger and probably cuss at me. I'm like, whoa, what was that all about, Grouchy Pants?
Yeah.
It's a different culture. It's a different group of people. And a totally different set of circumstances. Vegas is in the middle of the desert. It's in a valley, so there's temperature fluctuations. A lot of people know this. It gets cold as shit in Vegas
Yeah.
in wintertime. It snowed like 5 days this last winter. I'm thinking I
Yeah.
wasn't there. But every winter it gets down to the 20s. It does. Cold and windy. It's nasty. It's just a dry cold and nasty.
It's so
Here,
annoying. It's
they got
so
to
annoying.
60 this winter. I was like, oh, I got my long shorts on.
Yeah.
Ooh, let's get my winter flip-flops out. Let's do that.
Look at my, is it the water jeans, whatever?
Water jeans. Yeah.
What the hell is it called? The ones like the ones that are like past your knees. What the hell are they called?
Culottes?
Women's pants?
Huh?
Women's pants?
yeah.
Yes.
Culottes,
Culottes? No. There's a
capri pants.
Capris,
The capris, yeah, you're
Like I
wearing
said,
the
women's
capris.
pants. No,
Yeah.
guys shouldn't be wearing that
Culottes
stuff.
are a kind of like a. They're different. They're from the 70s. You'd have to look it up.
culottes? What
He
the
knows
hell's
about
a
that. He's
culotte?
old.
What the hell's a culottes?
Culotte are like flowy pants
Yeah, they're-
that come past the knee.
Yeah. They're like real baggy.
Oh,
Almost
they're like
hammer
gaucho pants. Yeah,
without
they're
the-
like gaucho
Yeah,
pants, but
yeah.
short.
But short.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so
I'd
they're
rock
called
me some
culottes.
gaucho pants for sure. No.
That's a much longer sentence to say it that way.
Yeah.
So culturally like that, obviously the climate, the environment, all these wonderful things down here versus Vegas, dry desert and stuff like that. But the opportunity is very different. Like I said, I'm kind of semi-retired, just sort of chill and don't do a whole bunch most days
Yeah.
other than baloney. And so my wife and I, we like to go up and down the coast and visit different little beach areas and drive around and eat lots of different food and stuff like that. And there's some nice stuff here from that perspective, but Vegas has, the top 20 restaurants on the planet,
Yeah.
with all the best chefs, and I'm very much a foodie, so that's an important thing for me. And they have, 150 of the best shows in the world going on there with 7 different Cirque du Soleil shows.
There's always something to do.
Just create. Not only is there stuff to do, but it's some of the greatest stuff in the world because the money brings in all the baloney, right? So not as much of that here. Yeah, you can see some silly stuff in Miami and whatnot like that. It's just different.
Yeah.
It's more organic here. There's a lot more of seeing the world around you and interacting with people versus Vegas. It's seeing things.
Well, if you feel like you need that for a minute, like, well, I know you don't, but if you get to the point where like part of you is missing Las Vegas, just go up to Orlando.
Yeah,
Orlando
yeah.
is very similar. as far
Orlando's
as,
becoming more and more like Vegas
Yeah.
in
Well,
a
it's
lot
more
of different
family
ways.
though. Orlando's a lot more family.
Yeah.
Vegas went through a little spurt of that back in
Yeah.
the late '90s, and then they're like, "What the fuck
It's
are we
like,
doing?
Families don't come out to the desert.
Sex, drugs, rock and roll. Back to the current things that got us popular to begin with."
Yeah. But I mean, I agree. If you lived in New York or in Vegas or San Diego,
Yeah.
Chicago, places like that, there's always something to do. There's always some little cool event, something going on. It's
Yeah.
fun because my buddy lives in Chicago, and every weekend he sends videos and photos of something different. There's a hotel that every once a month they rent out the entire hotel. It becomes every floor is a different theme.
That's
and he's
awesome.
showing me video. They pop out of the elevator, walk down the hall, and there's a guy with a donkey and a Mexican hat on. And then
Sounds like
everyone-
I've seen that show before.
yeah, no, but and then you
who's
go to
wearing?
the next
Wait,
one.
wait, wait. Who's wearing the Mexican hat? The guy
The
or the
donkey.
donkey?
Oh,
No,
obviously.
it's,
Okay.
yeah, it's like, why the fuck is there a donkey in a hotel? No, and every time something different. They'll have an Aqua Teen Hunger Force theme party.
Nice.
They'll have a Rick and Morty theme party. Every weekend is different. Here, we got people beating the shit out of cell phones in front of Live, a couple of clubs, and fucking that's it, really. I mean, you go to clubs, we got Ultra once a year.
Yeah, but look what happens when you retire.
Yeah.
You break cell phones.
Well, you know why the rumor is why he
Did you
retired?
see that? Yeah, that charge, the sexual
There's
assault.
a sexual assault charge, which is old, actually.
It is.
It's
Yeah,
not-
it's a while
not new,
back,
yeah.
but
So what is that? Why would that force somebody?
Because they're saying that's like him trying to get out of big contracts and stuff like that. And
Having to
then
pay?
for it and being out of the limelight. Because it's different when you say former UFC champion compared to current UFC champion.
Or you say retired.
Retired,
UFC.
right.
And plus his whiskey line is doing very well.
See, that's what I think is funny. They say that, but so many people I hear are talking shit about it. I didn't think it was half bad.
I've seen some numbers on it, and that's what I'm talking about. I don't like whiskey. I think it's crap. I give a rat's ass about any of that stuff. But if it's making the money that it's purported to, why would you stick with it? If you made your payday with Mayweather and you've got all this money,
why continue to get punched in the face?
Thank you.
But it's, you know what,
doesn't
though?
make any sense.
The good part is it's a genius move, even though it's for the second time, because, yes, he's making tons of money on the whiskey. He's doing all these other ventures. He's got, was it Maymac or Mac Productions, whatever it is. You are retired.
Well, now you're something that you can't have because he's retired.
And now
we
it's
can't
a
have
super
him.
fight.
Absolutely.
Now it sets up the super fight. You don't think GSP is going to take a super fight with Conor? Come on.
I think GSP's done, which he should be.
He should be, but the money is there for Conor to come back. And he's going to maybe do another Nate fight. Of course he's going to do a comeback fight. It's going to happen.
If that's something that's part of the plan, if you will, I agree. Smart.
Yeah.
And a lot of people thinking
you know
that's
what?
the case.
He was a big believer and proponent of the secret.
Yeah.
The law of attraction.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he believes him and his
Wife.
girlfriend. I don't think they're married.
No,
they're
yet.
married now, I think.
I
No,
don't think they are.
I don't think they're married.
Popped out a kid or two. But
Yeah, she's married. She's pregnant again.
Yeah.
But they attribute everything that happened to the secret.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see where you could kind of put that is remember when he was Mystic Mac for a minute?
Yeah.
He called
When he knocked somebody out, second round.
Yeah.
and he would call it and it would happen.
Yeah.
Is that coincidence or is that?
I think, though, you get to a point when you're that deep into MMA where you start seeing stuff, where you know what's going to happen.
Certainly. And he's an incredibly skilled athlete, and he really has a great ability to control both the distance and where the fight takes place. And so I think that when he looks at the fight matchups, he can sort of look at those things. But I agree with what you're saying. I don't know that there's a mystical force of manifestation from believing in something and thinking about it and placing it in front of your thoughts. But the more you do something, the more you visualize it, and visualization is a big part of sports performance, right? Teaching your nervous system both intrinsically as well as extrinsically, everything you've got going on physically outside, to prepare for and expect to do this thing. If you've done the repetitions in training and your mind as well, then you're just following through on that repetition when you get in there.
No, I understand that.
You're acting instead of reacting.
But one time, calling it one time,
Yeah.
that's like, he caught.
Yeah.
Calling it 2 times, well, he's pretty good. Calling it 3
It was
times.
the second round with, what's his name?
Eddie Alvarez?
No. God.
Eddie Alvarez was the first.
No, that's who he won the belt with.
Yeah,
he was calling it his fights before
Chad
that.
Mendez. He said
Chad.
by the end of the second round, it was like 30 seconds left or 13 seconds left. Somebody took him out right then. It was like, oh, after he was getting his ass
yeah.
whooped.
Boss did that, too. Boss did that. Boss Rooney's like, I want you guys to tell me when it's 2 minutes left in the round, and I'll knock him out. So sure enough, he turns around. They're like, Boss, 2 minutes. Like, okay, wham! Just fucking beats the shit out of the guy. So
Liver kick.
Speaking of which, actually that's something. You see what happened with Shamrock?
Oh, his dog.
No.
His mom's dog, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I did not hear this news.
So Ken or Frank?
Frank.
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 So Frank's mom was extremely ill, so he had to get to the airport, took her dogs with him. There's 2 of them. One of them he could find someone to watch.
Oh, is this the one that disappeared or
No,
died?
they disappeared. No. So one of them he managed to get someone to watch the dogs for, but the other one somebody wouldn't, nobody would take care of the dog. So what did he do? He chained it to the bed of his truck, left 5 days worth of food and water in the bowls, in the back of the truck, in the flatbed,
At the
fucking
airport.
took off at the airport, and
Yeah.
fucking took off. So someone found the dog sitting there. They're like, "What the fuck's going on?" Called the cops and everything, and they came and took the dog.
What an idiot.
Yeah. So now he's getting a world of shit, and he's coming up
As
with
well
all
he
these-
should.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And he's
Absolutely.
coming up with all these excuses like, "Oh, that's the best thing I could have done for that dog
No.
because
No.
now he's got a happy home and all this
No.
other stuff."
There's no excuse for that.
No,
period.
man.
None.
You can't do that.
If
And he's crying. He's doing interviews crying and saying that it was heart-wrenching, motherfucker.
No, then you shouldn't have
Then
left.
don't fucking leave.
Thank you.
I would drive if that's the case. I can't take the dog, take it. But you can get a dog sitter anywhere in this fucking country.
All day.
That's just the way that it is.
Yeah, you could hire a dog sitter.
Any number of things.
Yeah, it's for, and even worse, I guess it was just Florida, but now that they're trying to make animal cruelty a federal offense,
They
or something
should?
like that, 100%.
I saw I hate Facebook. I hate
But
Facebook.
Facebook loves you.
Yeah.
Because
It's tanking hard though. now.
when people post the animal
Yeah.
Oh, the
And
cruelty
it pops
stuff.
up in your feed, and you have to see that.
Oh, like this!
Yeah.
Like, look at me! I'm a visceral
Yeah.
reaction.
Yeah, I know, I
This
get, man.
puppy, this somebody skinned a puppy,
Yeah.
Oh, man.
and it survived. Like skinned the.
It's
It's
terrible.
and you know me. I'm trying to turn
All
over.
positive, no negative.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there. I'm having a conversation with God. I'm like,
Yeah.
Let
Jesus,
me-
give me strength.
no, I'm like, no. I said, let me punish this person, please. Let me find this person who did this,
Oh, I
and
would-
so I can punish them.
And you know what
Punish
sucks
them.
is that I met him. It was a little over a month ago, right there, on January 24th. I met him. He was at the event.
Yeah.
Got his
who?
photo and stuff. Shamrock.
Frank.
Oh,
Yeah. That's why I'm like, motherfucker, man. I was so happy to meet this guy. It's like, you are that big of a scumbag.
well, you know,
really,
dogs.
Really are.
Here's the thing: what
Yeah.
makes dogs special is dogs are. There would be no dogs if it was not for man. So
Absolutely.
So
100%.
man, dogs would all be wolves.
They are a GMO.
The reason they're dogs is because of us. That is why and it's been proven that dogs love us more than they love themselves.
Absolutely.
Oh, you kidding me?
And
My
how
dog,
could you do anything to something
I
like
don't
that?
understand. I can't wrap my head around it.
Yeah, it's look. I mean, I was a dog trainer and I worked at a veterinarian office. And some of the stuff
Yeah.
I saw people do.
That's terrible.
I mean, to see someone having to put down a puppy of a Rottweiler, maybe a year old, because someone left him out. And I remember it was at the time it was the recorded hottest day in Florida of all time, and they left the dog out there chained, and they come back and obviously the dog's like
Oh,
half
wow.
dead out, and they came in, they were trying to do it IV, this that, and they're like, sorry, we're gonna have to put down your dog. And I remember seeing this dude cry. I'm like, motherfucker, you have no say in this whatsoever. Like I told him, you need to go. I don't give a fuck who you are, just go, because you can't be here. Just put that a beautiful animal, and I've seen it a bunch of times. It's heartbreaking to see how bad just some people have no respect for life that's outside of their own little universe, in their own plane of existence. Nothing else exists, and it's stuff like that. I hope he gets everything tenfold back at him for sure.
Now here's this is a weird question. I was a couple weeks ago. I was driving to church actually, and I must have come across a raccoon had just gotten hit by a car.
Ugh.
It was writhing in the middle of the
Oh,
street,
man.
and I'm thinking, well, I have my pistol.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you go?
Do I go put it out? That's
Can't.
because it's
Can't,
inside of the
because-
city.
No, well, you're firing
Yeah.
your gun. If you said that it was attacking you, you could. But to pull out your gun and just shoot it, no. And I've seen it happen with cops on the beach with nurse sharks that attack people. Like, they'll just put it out of its misery there. That's different if a cop is doing it, sure.
Why
But for
would
you,
why would they kill a nurse?
because it was already out there in out of the water for that long. I just
because it was
Well, if they
attached to it.
dragged it out or whatever.
yeah, and that I was 9-10 years old when I saw that. It was the first time I heard a gun go off in front of me. But you can't just sit there, take your gun out, and say, I'm putting it out of its misery. You just can't. You're firing your.
Well, I
your gun
can.
off.
I'll just get in
You
trouble.
can. You'll just get in trouble.
True.
But you'll get your right to own a gun taken away. That's just all there is to it. Because
That's a felony offense.
you're firing your gun without any lawful precedence for it. If I were to attack you right now, you can shoot me. Absolutely. If I was to attack him, you have the right to shoot me. If I attack him and I start running away, you can't shoot me.
right.
You can't, and even if you brandish like the gun, if you had it in your pocket and say, hey buddy, chill the fuck out, you can still go to jail for that. You still can't. Because now you're threatening me. I'm not technically really posing any threat. You might have felt the threat, but I'm not doing anything as a threat. You flashing it can get you in trouble.
Well, that I understand, but this is, I don't
Like
know.
you're trying to like a mercy law or something like
yeah,
that.
I don't know.
Like, okay, so let's say.
so I could stab this thing. I could take out a
Yeah,
knife and stab
100%,
it,
100%.
but I can't shoot it.
Correct. You could sit there and stab it like you're saying, like I'm just stabbing an animal. You might still get in trouble for animal cruelty if someone says, oh no, I could have saved that animal, but no, 100% you can. It's just the way it is. Now, you can actually fire at nuisance animals.
Well, it was a raccoon.
Right, but I think it has to be...
On your property or something?
It has to be on your property, and you can only do it with certain calibers. You can actually own, or not own, but you can have a shooting
Flamethrower.
range.
Oh,
Yeah, that too. You can have a shooting range in your own house in Florida.
huh?
Yeah, found that law out a couple of weeks ago. There's certain rules to it, but
That's called a bedroom, not a shooting range.
no. Well, that'd be.
I like
that'd be
I like what
shooting
Mitch
in the bedroom,
Hedberg
too.
says. Any room could be a bedroom if you put a bed in it.
Exactly.
This bedroom has a stove in it.
Yeah, it's a little known law, but you can have a shooting range if you have the space for it to operate safely, which is basically if you have like an acre, you can only have one place of residence within that piece of property, and you're not shooting anything over 22, and you're not shooting over a mode of transportation like a walkway or a sidewalk or a street.
Yeah.
So if you've got an open field, like 2.5 acres, and you're just shooting towards the back, and it's not going over anything, yeah, you can shoot. You have your own little private shooting range.
Yay, Florida.
Yeah.
Well, did
Did
you know that Dick's has an arrow shooting range?
Yeah, I've used it.
The one in Boynton?
Yeah. If you go to Bass Pro Shop, they have a gun range
Well,
and a 3D arrow range.
Yeah, well, that I no,
Yeah.
but
They do
but,
courses there too, like you can go learn.
But Dick's is like you really one person can fit in there at
Maybe.
a time.
Yeah, but that's all you need, because you just
Yeah.
need a straight lane anyway, and you're just practicing to hit the target. You're not doing moving targets. They're just there to teach you technique. Yeah. But I mean, I go to my parents' house. They got 2.5 acres. I'll sit there with a bow and arrow. Just
Yeah, as a
day.
kid, we used to, because I lived out west,
yeah.
and we had no neighbors for
Yeah.
a while. We would shoot a bow and arrow
Straight
Yeah.
up.
straight up and just run around like idiots.
Oh, that's
Nice.
so dangerous.
That sounds totally safe.
Yeah,
Yeah, clearly.
I
That's
had a
great.
buddy
and
that
we
actually
got our parents' permission.
I had a buddy that actually shot me in the back with like a crossbow, real small bolt on it, real small, but it was like 4 yards up from me. I'm gonna actually have him watch this video, this podcast later, so you can remember this. My buddy Mike, I'm out doing yard work in my yard, and all of a sudden something hits me in the back. I thought he threw a rock at me. I'm like, "Did you just throw a rock at me?" He's like,
Was it sticking out
it
of
was
you?
sticking in my back. Yeah.
Is there a photo of this anywhere?
No, this is way back before there was evidence. That's
Oh,
why.
man. So what'd you hit?
No, it stuck me in my back.
Yeah, but where did it like hit on your back?
I don't know, just in the middle somewhere. It only went in a little teeny bit, like half
Oh,
inch, and
okay.
it
Yeah,
didn't go
it's
on
still
very
stuck
far.
in there.
No, it was far enough. His house was, 3 or
Yeah.
4 houses upward. He sort of like, hey, I'm gonna shoot that direction towards Jason, and coincidentally, it hit me. He's like, oh shit.
Is that
How does that? It's like, no part of that is a good idea.
No.
No part of.
There was
Well, maybe I'll just scare him with it, or maybe I'll get close to him, or there's no part. There's nothing that says, you know what? Fire this crossbow.
It's
No.
BB
My
guns.
buddy.
BB guns are the ones that scare me, just because I'm always afraid, like I'll shoot your eye out, kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, I got older in California. I didn't necessarily grow up. We did
Yeah.
all kinds
Yeah.
of stupid crap. There was nothing left in my home that was flammable or could blow up or any number of things. I stole like, this big chunk of sodium metal from my chemistry lab so I could throw sodium inside of water. It reacts and
Yeah.
explodes. Hey!
You ever seen that?
Yeah.
We used to
Pure
just,
sodium. You just throw it in the water.
no,
and
we
it's
used to just do it out of chlorine.
Yeah, chlorine
the acid bombs. We used to do acid bombs.
That is not a smart idea. I've done a lot of
no,
those.
no. Lots of dumb
little
things.
little tinfoil, little.
Don't tell people how to make it, asshole. I don't need to fucking.
Oh, wait, is
anarchist
that illegal?
cookbook. Yeah, just a
To
little
say?
bit. Yeah, 100%. You're giving
on,
people
you can
directions
Google
how to
anything.
make an explosive.
You can
device.
Google that
Let
shit.
them Google it, not fucking listen to the podcast and do it.
We used to
Because
do
that's
it.
the case. I can sit there and give you tons of shit. Remember
Well,
that?
no,
Do you remember the
I-
anarchist cookbook?
Absolutely.
Remember, like
that was the gold mine when you found that when you were younger. You're like, oh my
But
god, look
then
at all this great stuff.
The thing was like, oh yeah, no, the FBI tracks them all. So if you own one,
Right.
they're coming down. Like,
Sure.
really? Like looking for chips in a fucking book. Like,
Well, what happens if I photocopy this book?
well, that's how you would buy it. That's how you would
Oh,
buy
yeah,
it. And
you
then
got
there's a
copy.
bunch of stuff that they got rid of it because like it's not. There was full on guerrilla tactics. There's a whole documentary on it. And you got to watch it. It's pretty crazy. There's a couple of things.
Do you know when the first guerrilla warfare started? Like the first war that had guerrilla warfare in it?
like Cuba and stuff?
Nope.
Where?
Revolutionary War.
Oh my.
Yeah, I believe it.
Good, because that was dumbass combat setup they had. Everybody line up here.
Yeah,
we're gonna walk
yeah.
there. Like these guys are
That's
stupid. We're not doing
We're
that.
not doing that.
They
We're
were,
just
they were still following the rules of engagement as a
Yeah.
tournament.
No.
no,
Fuck
not the Americans.
Shit don't work that way. It's like line them up.
They said,
Do this
nope,
again."
we're gonna stand behind this tree.
Exactly.
You ever hear like the story of the first sniper?
No.
Because they had snipers. That was the first time they had snipers, and there was a guy that was basically about to assassinate George Washington. And then there's like, no, you don't shoot a man on horseback.
Oh, boo.
Yeah. So you could have taken out the whole United States history right then and there.
Well, here's a since we're on this, and probably this will be one of the last things we talk about.
Yeah.
But did you know that the South could have won the Civil War? Someone told Robert E. Lee, "Hey, look, the North just came here. You can go and capture Washington at Gettysburg. You can go. The lane is open. We can just go."
Right.
And Robert E. Lee's like, "Nah, let's crush them now."
Ah.
How'd that work out for him?
Oops.
That shit's crazy.
Imagine that would have happened.
That's
Hindsight.
if you look at, there's so many little things where it's just that one little instant. If it played out completely
Yeah.
different, the craziness that would have happened. Did you see? Actually, total side note. Did you see the alternate universe Superman thing that's coming out?
Yeah.
Where he's
Huh.
where he's like the bad guy. It's Superman as a little boy, but instead of becoming good, he becomes super evil.
Nice.
And then there's a comic book where
Dark.
he's
It's called. I can't remember what it's called.
I don't remember.
But
there's
it's a really cool, like it's
It's
a
dark.
it's dark.
It's
Nice.
very, very dark. It's kind
excited.
of like what's the Carrie? It's kind of like Carrie meets Superman.
Really?
Yeah, it's really fucked up. And then there's a comic book version where they made him where he lands in Soviet Russia instead of the U.S. You ever seen that one?
No.
Yeah. There's a comic book where Superman is actually a Soviet.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. We should wrap it up though. It's getting late. We're about to hit the 2-hour mark.
All right,
anyway.
before we leave, let's ask Jason one last question.
Uh-oh.
For the jiu-jitsu athlete, other than forearm strength, what is the one exercise that every jiu-jitsu athlete should do besides grip strength?
God,
exercise?
nobody's going to want to hear this. Kettlebell swings.
Really?
Heavy kettlebell swings. Let me explain that because you said besides grip strength. Well, you're getting that. As you said before, you realize that everything you do, all the different exercises, it's going to be grip strength, grip strength, strength. So you've got the grip strength aspect of swinging a kettlebell. But so much of jiu-jitsu is the hips, right? Think about warm-ups in most places. We're doing various different hip escape movements and things of this nature. The hip extension movement pattern that use the glutes and hamstrings and the erectors of the lower back and back area is so prevalent in your takedown defense, right? Somebody shoots in on you for a single or a double, you sprawl. You're extending your hips and legs backwards, which is just the opposite of extending your torso upwards in that swing from the kettlebell. The same thing as if you were to grab an underhook on somebody that shot on you and try and lift them up off of you. So the hip extension motion is critical to so much of what you do in jiu-jitsu, whether you're shooting for a takedown yourself and exploding from one leg position, or you're defending a takedown, or any number of other things. Somebody's in your half guard, you need to shrimp out of there. A lot of the movement patterns that become very prevalent in jiu-jitsu deal with hip extension. So doing a kettlebell swing, oddly enough, if you're going to do something for conditioning, right, strength and conditioning, and as I said before, the SAID principle, specific adaptation to the imposed demand, try and do things that as closely mimic movement patterns that you'll find in the thing you want to be better at. And so because there are so many things in jiu-jitsu that occur in that kind of emotion and explosively in that kind of motion specifically, why not have the activity that you're doing for strength conditioning be a kettlebell swing in this case, or a dumbbell swing, same type of thing, but whatever you can use. You're going to get a lot of bang for your buck, if you will, by doing an exercise like that.
What about the Bulgarian bag?
It's just it's a thing.
Yeah.
It's a weight. I mean, a sandbag, a medicine ball, Bulgarian
Yeah.
bag, a big bag of turds, whatever you want. The thing that you use, it's about having a load, a weight,
Right.
and preferably an awkward one. I don't like perfect handles and stuff. If you
Yeah.
can get a medicine ball and do a swing with that, use the Bulgarian bag for swings also. Any number of things that are awkward because human bodies are awkward. Whether they have a gi on or not, they're awkward. And so we have to learn, preferably, to be able to grip and or move things that aren't perfectly aligned and balanced, like a barbell or a dumbbell or some of those types of things, that would be a preferred modality. So a Bulgarian bag, it might be an option, but it is not magic per se.
Right.
You hear that on it? Start making kettlebells. Instead of handles, have feet and wrists
Yes.
coming out of
You
them.
already got monkey
Just
heads and
doubles.
other stuff. Let's
Yeah,
put
right.
some hands on those bad dogs.
Well, it's funny because I have the scramble grip sleeves.
yeah.
So I use
I have
that.
them too at the gym.
I do everything as much as I can with them.
Yeah.
So I'll do the Jefferson curls with them for my back.
Uh-huh.
I'll do deadlifts with them. I'll do any like back exercise.
Certainly
I'll just-
rows, things of that
yeah.
nature. You betcha. That's a
Always.
great option. We talked about it earlier. It helps you to be better at your grip strength, specifically to the gi utilization, right? But also, it modifies the movement patterns closer to what you would experience. Because if you think about it, using like a neutral grip handle on a seated row,
Yeah.
where your hands are like this, you're really not grabbing people like that typically. You're going to be grabbing a wrist this way.
Yeah.
So your wrist is in a different position. You're using different muscles in your forearms and your biceps and the shoulders to move that pattern. So why not become better at that pattern because of the way that you train also?
It's funny because you just reminded me too. There is a barbell attachment that you can get, and I saw this years ago, where instead of, let's say if the barbell is like this, you put it on there and
Fat
it's
grips?
the fat grips.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fat grips, yeah.
And you can sit there and bench with that.
Yeah.
So I might have to snag some of those up and start
I don't
working.
think that. I don't think that would help you at it.
I try.
No. I'm not being funny.
No,
but I don't think on a press.
Not on a press, but
on
I'm
a,
saying
on a
in
pulling
general.
or rowing
Yeah.
motion, yes, because think about this. Wrist control is critical,
Yeah.
especially in your no gi, right? So the size of the wrist versus like a barbell dumbbell,
Yeah.
they're not the same unless you got a really
I'm
skinny
definitely
ass
gonna have
person.
to look at them.
So it becomes viable for that
Yeah.
because gripping here with your hand that wide requires totally different length of muscle inside the
Yeah.
forearm versus here, especially when you can close
Here,
your
I
thumb
can
around.
sit there and just cup it and just hook it, and I can stay.
Have
there
you
a lot
had?
longer.
Have you ever gotten forearm like where it just dies?
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
So right before the year I won the worlds, the last match that I had before the finals, it was the third match. I had the lapel out, like you know how you pull the lapel out. I couldn't
Couldn't even hold it.
close my hand more
Yeah.
than this
Yeah.
Yeah.
on that last
Well,
match.
it's happened to you at like another tournament. I remember
And
I was like helping you out.
And I had to have at that one. I had to have Tracy
Massage it out,
massage
yeah.
it out. My
Yep.
wife massaged it out, and then I was able to do the finals.
Yep.
But I couldn't like. It was like I don't know why I'm holding this. I'm not holding it.
Yeah.
Like it was
I
basically.
may be having a heart attack.
I don't know
left
what's
arm?
going on. My forearms just
Did you
literally
see-
stopped working.
Did you see the guy that was competing at the Seoul Open, Jiu-Jitsu Open? There's a video out there. This guy,
With the
very
wrist?
beginning, yeah.
Oh,
You
I
see
saw.
it?
I just watched that before I came over here.
He was holding on to the grip, and the guy just went in wrist lock right away.
Right off the bat.
And he held it, and then next thing you know, you just see his arm,
Yeah.
his
He didn't realize
wrist
he got out of the wrist
flop-
lock. He moves, and his hand is just sort of spinning around on the wrist.
Yeah.
Just whee!
Yeah, it's literally like it's free
flopping around.
floating.
You could
doing
tell
that.
it was bad news.
No idea. He's like, I just can't grip with it for whatever reason. Then he finally somehow gets the guy in side control, and he's sitting there,
And he sees his hand.
and he looks down. It's like, something on my fucking wrist. He's like, my hand's not moving, and it's kind of floppy. And then you see him adjust it,
Pops back in.
pop it back in, and then keep going. He lost by an advantage.
Crazy.
Wow.
And that was
Crazy.
absolute,
Big ups to that
Yeah.
dude.
in the
Yeah.
absolute.
Yeah, I thought it was a badass because I had my finger dislocated during
Yeah.
the match. I'm like, ooh, let's let that back in so I don't get stopped, right?
Man, so shout out to that guy. So anybody wants to follow you, get some more advice, where can they find you?
No way, man. I'm not giving you my DNA. It's not
Yeah.
happening.
All right.
I spend most of my time, as far as social media is concerned,
Yeah.
on Facebook. That's where I'm an old guy, so that's
Right.
the social media of my
So
time.
we're not sharing that.
Yeah, so no, Jason Parsons. Just look me on there. You can't miss me on there. I got the big beard. It's beautiful. Jason M. Parsons on Twitter. Also, I spent some time on there.
Cool.
But other than that,
You don't do the IG, I take it.
no, it's just I'm
not
ugly.
his
I don't
thing.
take good pictures, man. That's my wife. She's the pretty thing in the house. It ain't me.
See, there you go. All right. Well, Jason, thank you very much for doing this.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Appreciate it. Everybody, check out the new shirt. Shut the fuck up and roll. That's available. The links on our Instagram.
No, it's a Stifu.
Stifu.
Stifu and roll.
Stifu and roll. Or we could call it that. I call it Stifu and roll. People are asking, what the fuck does that mean? Pick up the shirt, support the podcast. Follow Shawn at Gorilla Boy BJJ. Follow me at Sonder Marketing, or you can follow the podcast Jiu-Jitsu Radio on Instagram. Check us out on Spotify, iTunes, all over the place. Don't forget YouTube. Follow us on YouTube. There's going to be a couple of burn videos that I'm going to put up there. I got some people I got to scold. That's going to be pretty fun to put together. Shout out to all of our sponsors, Choke Aloha, Jiu-Jitsu Soap Co., Giraffe Choke, and Nomad. Thank you guys for the support, and we will catch you next week.
Peace.
Peace.